Chapter 120. Sect Master, Mount Liang has been raised to a height of 700 feet. It is now more than 110 feet tall, and the mountain is 3 times wider than before. The newly built village at the foot of the mountain was destroyed due to the mountain's movement. Fortunately, there were no casualties. Zheng Fang reported the situation truthfully in a temporary meeting hall. Qin Shujian, on the other hand, could not help but take a look at the other party's attributes. Name, Zheng Fang. Title, None. Identity, Yuan Sect. Disciple Affiliation, Yuan Sect. Influence Level, Level 2 Realm, Martial Arts Realm Level 9 Cultivation Technique, Body Forging Scripture Level 8, Eternal Spring Skill Perfected Martial Arts, 7 Leaves Flower Piercing Palm, Perfection, 5 Elements 8 Trigram Steps, Perfection, just like him. Zheng Fang's attribute panel also changed. At first, Qin Shujian thought that the change in his attribute panel was caused by breaking through to the true martial realm. However, after seeing the other party, he overturned his guess. He looked at the other party's attribute panel. His identity had changed from the former martial arts hall master to a Yuan Sect disciple. This meant that after the Yuan Sect was established, the position of Mount Liang village no longer existed. As for the change in his attribute panel, Qin Shujian thought that it was related to joining a sect. Soon, Qin Shujian came back to his senses and asked, "How much silver do we have now?" "About 2,200 silver taels." Zheng Fang answered truthfully. 2,200 silver taels. This included the original assets of Mount Min Gai, Chuanyun Village, and Mount Chaotic Gold. It seemed like a lot of silver taels. However, there were thousands of people in the Yuan Sect now. It was too horrible to look at. Qin Shujian said, "How much silver do you think it will cost to renovate and rebuild the Yuan Sect?" Hearing this, Zheng Fang was deep in thought. Qin Shujian did not urge him. After a while, Zheng Fang came back to his senses and cupped his hands. "Sect Master, you are now the Protectorate Lord of the Mount Liang True Dominion, and the Yuan Sect is the only sect in the Mount Liang True Dominion. If we want to renovate and rebuild it, we must be careful. According to my estimation, if we meet the requirements, we will need at least 20,000 silver taels. More than 2,000 silver taels for one person. At least 20,000 silver taels for one person." The difference between the two was tenfold. Qin Shujian rubbed the space between his eyebrows. Even though he had broken through to the true martial realm and became the Cold Mountain region's domain lord, he still couldn't get rid of the problem of money. Could it be that he was going to rob someone? As soon as this thought arose, he rejected it. Things were different now. He, Qin Shujian, was the lord of a region and the sect master of Yuan Sect. If he were to engage in robbing, it would seem that he would be degrading himself. There was no reason for it. Qin Shujian thought of someone. At this moment, a person came in from outside, bowed his head and cupped his fists. "Sovereign, Gu Feng of the Changyun Trading Company requests an audience at the foot of the mountain." "Welcome." Qin Shujian's eyes lit up. "Speak of the devil." At the foot of the mountain, Gu Feng stood alone at the foot of the mountain. He raised his head and gazed at Mount Liang, whose peak could no longer be seen. Move the mountains and overturn the seas. Shift the universe. This was the true power of heaven and earth. If he hadn't been to Mount Liang a few times before, he definitely wouldn't have believed that this majestic mountain in front of him was originally a bare mountain. Mount Liang's true dominion. I didn't expect him to really break through the shackles. Gu Feng's thoughts drifted away immediately. Previously, he had been willing to cooperate with Mount Liang because they were in the ordinary realm and the other party was a second-grade force. It would be helpful for his branch to do business in the future. Later on, it was to deal with the demon disaster. However, when he heard that Qin Shujian could fight against the evil spirit, Gu Feng was completely concerned. It wasn't until the undying evil lord fell in the hands of the other party that he was even more shocked. An evil spirit. He had died at the hands of a person who was at the peak of the basic realm in the ordinary realm. Even in the past, this kind of thing was absolutely rare. Since then, Gu Feng had roughly understood Qin Shujian's thoughts. He wanted to rely on his own strength to break through the shackles of the ordinary realm. Otherwise, he should have left the ordinary realm and gone to other true dominion long ago. Given his strength and foundation, he would probably be able to break through to the true martial realm after leaving the ordinary realm. At that moment, Lu Er came down from the mountain. When he saw Gu Feng, he immediately said, "Steward Gu, the sect master invites you in. Sorry to trouble you." Gu Feng nodded. "Please." Lu Er led the way while Gu Feng walked side by side. The former Mount Liang Stockade's current origin sect was actually quite familiar with this steward of the Cheng Yun Trading Company. After all, it was hard not to recognize Gu Feng after their previous cooperation and the few times they had delivered goods. "The spirit chi of heaven and earth is really dense," Gu Feng said emotionally as he walked on the road that had been temporarily opened up by Mount Liang. Lu Er smiled and said, "I wonder if the spirit chi of other sects is like that of our origin sect?" When the true dominion is promoted, the sect established by the Protectorate Lord is favored by heaven and earth. In such a huge true dominion, most of the spirit chi of heaven and earth is gathered here. This is the time when the sect is at its peak. Gu Feng didn't answer the question. When he saw Lu Er's curious expression, he couldn't help but smile faintly and say, "Only sects with a Protectorate Lord are favored by heaven and earth. Most of the other sects of the true dominion do not have a Protectorate Lord. The sects are only established in some relatively good mountain ranges. Naturally, they are far inferior to the treasured land of Mount Liang, which was created by heaven and earth. There is simply no comparison between the two." When he heard this, the smile on Lu Er's face widened. As a disciple of the origin sect, he naturally felt proud when someone praised the origin sect in front of him. The two of them chatted as they walked. Before long, they arrived at the conference hall. After bringing them here, Lu Er retreated. The original Jing Feng had left long ago. At the moment, only Qin Shujian and Gu Feng were in the conference hall. In Gu Feng's eyes, the simple and crude meeting hall before him was far more honorable than those luxurious palaces. There was no other reason. It was because the true Dominion Protectorate Lord was here. As the saying went, a mountain was not about its height. If there was an immortal, it would be spiritual. As long as there was a dragon, the water would be spiritual. To a certain extent, the status of a Protectorate Lord was extremely honorable. It was much more honorable than the status of a sect master. "Brother Kai, Brother Gu, how have you been?" When he saw Gu Feng, Qin Shujian greeted him. When he realized that there was a mistake in his words, he immediately corrected it. "Brother Kai, Brother Gu?" A trace of doubt flashed across Gu Feng's eyes. However, he still cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, Protectorate Lord Qin." As he spoke, his tone was filled with great respect. A sect master was just a small family. A Protectorate Lord was a big family. "Brother Gu, you are welcome. Please take a seat." "Thank you, Protectorate Lord." Gu Feng bowed again and sat down. Then, he lamented with admiration, "Protectorate Lord Qin broke the shackles with your own strength and promoted the advancement of a protectorate. This can be considered as benefiting the living beings of a protectorate. Your merit is immeasurable." Qin Shujian smiled and said, "What happened in the Mount Liang True Dominion was unintentional. Brother Gu, you are exaggerating. It has always taken a long time for an ordinary realm to advance to a true dominion. Now that the Protectorate Lord has ascended to the true martial realm and promoted the Protectorate, it is admirable no matter what." Gu Feng paused and sighed. Now that the Mount Liang True Dominion has been promoted, the neighboring ordinary realms will be affected by the heaven-earth spirit energy. I'm afraid that the promotion time will be greatly shortened. When the neighboring ordinary realms complete their transformation, the Mount Liang True Dominion will be considered a complete true dominion. The Protectorate Lord's actions will not simply affect the Star Brilliance ordinary realm. Gu Feng's words made Qin Shujian wonder. A trace of doubt flashed across Qin Shujian's eyes. He couldn't help but ask in a low voice, "Please elaborate. If an ordinary realm is compared to a family, then a true dominion is equivalent to a village." Gu Feng pondered for a moment and explained in a more common way. Every true dominion in the world is extremely vast and far surpasses the other ordinary realms. All the true dominions were promoted step by step from the ordinary realms. The reason why a true dominion is much larger than an ordinary realm is because when an ordinary realm is promoted to a true dominion, the surging heaven-earth spirit energy will affect the neighboring ordinary realms. These ordinary realms are equivalent to the subsidiary realms of the newly promoted True Dominion. When these ordinary realms absorb a large amount of heaven-earth spirit energy and are promoted to a True Dominion, they will merge with the original True Dominion and become a whole entity. At this point, Gu Feng cupped his hands and said, "Although the Mount Liang True Dominion has just been promoted, the heaven-earth spirit energy is already abundant. I believe that in a few years, the surrounding ordinary realms will also be promoted to a True Dominion. When the time comes, the Origin sect's power and influence will definitely increase greatly." Upon hearing this, Qin Shujian finally understood. There would be such changes after the True Dominion was promoted. The things that Gu Feng had given him had records of the Protectorate Lord. However, they had only been briefly mentioned and not described in detail. As a result, he didn't know much about them. However, Qin Shujian didn't think too much about this for the time being. Instead, he looked at Gu Feng and said, "Speaking of which, I almost forgot. May I know why you are here, Brother Gu?" The upper echelons of the trading company are very grateful to the Protectorate Lord for killing the evil spirit and resolving the devil calamity. However, they thought that it was inappropriate to offer the equivalent of a true-grade cultivation technique in exchange for the Protectorate Lord's help. Later on, they heard that the Protectorate Lord was going to establish a sect and would need some resources. Therefore, they asked me to come here. If the Origin sect needs anything for the sect's construction, feel free to ask. The Carrier Trading Company will definitely do its best to fulfill your needs as a reward for killing the evil spirit. Gu Feng spoke sincerely. As for how much of what he said was true and how much was false, it was up to the benevolent and the wise to the wise. However, there was one thing that was certain. After learning that Qin Shujian had become the Protectorate Lord of the Mount Liang True Dominion, he had already caught the attention of the upper echelons of the Carrier Trading Company. Experts with such great potential had always been on the good side of the Carrier Trading Company. This was because people like him, it was much easier and further than other people on the path of cultivation. Qin Shujian could almost guess what the Carrier Trading Company was thinking based on the fact that Gu Feng kept mentioning the Protectorate Lord. However, Gu Feng's last words were exactly what he wanted to hear. Therefore, the smile on Qin Shujian's face widened when Gu Feng finished speaking. Just as he needed the sect's construction, Gu Feng came knocking on his door. A person like him, if he had been in the ancient times of his previous life, he would have been called a timely rain. Chapter 121. Gu Feng brought the Cheng Yuan Trading Company sincerity. The rest was simple. Silver was a problem for Qin Shujian. However, silver was just a number to the rich and powerful Cheng Yuan Trading Company. Or, tens of thousands of silver was nothing to them. After a simple negotiation, Gu Feng left. Gu Feng immediately stood up and bid farewell. Qin Shujian also enthusiastically sent him off. However, less than a day had passed. Gu Feng climbed the mountain again. Unlike the previous time when he had come alone, this time, he had brought hundreds of craftsmen with him, as well as many construction materials. Obviously, the Cheng Yuan Trading Company thought highly of Qin Shujian, the new Protectorate Lord of Liang Mountain. In other words, the branch that Gu Feng belonged to was very concerned about Protectorate Lord Qin. "Manager Gu, I'm sorry to trouble you to come here personally." Zheng Feng chuckled. He had a warm smile on his face. After all, Qin Shujian was now the lord of a domain and an expert in the true martial realm. Although Gu Feng's status was not low, it was impossible for him to accompany him the entire time. Therefore, Zheng Feng became the person who directly contacted Gu Feng. "Master Zheng, what are you saying? Protectorate Lord Qin has helped me a lot. This time, it concerns the renovation of the Yuan sect. Naturally, we cannot be careless," Gu Feng replied with a smile. He knew very well, the old man in front of him was actually an expert of the 9th stage of the basic realm. Of course, in the current True Dominion, a 9th stage basic martial realm expert was not considered very powerful. However, the old man was Qin Shujian's trusted aide. In terms of status, he was not below the branch manager. Gu Feng asked the craftsman to carry the materials up. The rest of the work was left to Zheng Feng to manage, while he assisted from the side. On the peak of Liang Mountain, Qin Shujian stood on the peak and looked around. It was as if he could see the entire true dominion of Liang Mountain. He could reach the peak. He could see how small the mountains were. At this moment, such a feeling rose in his heart. The higher the level of a player, the slower it is to level up. Judging from the average strength of the players on the Lion-Tiger plane, there is a high chance that they are around the 8th stage of the basic realm. For the time being, there won't be any true martial realm players. Although I'm currently at the 3rd stage of the true martial realm, I'm basically at the peak of the true martial realm in the origin sect. Even if I leave the origin sect, I'm still at the 8th or 9th stage of the true martial realm in the Liangshan True Dominion. Even if the bonus from the realm is a bit weaker than the real cultivation, the overall strength is still far beyond the players by a large margin. Qin Shujian looked at the scene in the distance, and his mind had unknowingly drifted away. Ever since he came to this world, or rather, was reborn into this world, the players had always been a thorn in his side. After all, with his identity as an NPC, it was destined that it would be difficult for him to get along with players on equal terms. Either he was weak enough to be killed by the other party, or they were so strong that players feared them. Other NPCs that died in the hands of players could be revived, but he couldn't guarantee that he could do the same. Therefore, from the very beginning, he had been desperately trying to increase his strength. However, when he encountered the shackles of the ordinary realm, Qin Shujian did not say anything on the surface, but in fact, he was very anxious in his heart. The existence of shackles meant that one's realm might be stagnant. All this time, the reason he suppressed the players was because he relied on his strength that was far beyond the players at this stage. Otherwise, with the thousands and hundreds of people in Cold Mountain Stronghold, the players would have already come knocking on his door. They might even have cleared this instance. Therefore, Qin Shujian valued the shackles of the ordinary realm more than anyone else. Fortunately, in the end, he still broke through this barrier, and his realm soared to the 3rd stage of the true martial realm. This caused the gap between him and the players that had just closed a little to widen to a certain extent. Only now did the pressure from the players finally lessen a lot. Subsequently, Qin Shujian took off the green cloth on his back, and after unraveling it, revealed a silver-white long saber. He grabbed Qin Shanxue. The long saber hummed without wind, as if it was cheering. He suddenly remembered that he still had 7 luck points that he had not used yet. After breaking through to the true martial realm, Qin Shujian also tried to drag the Black Tiger Saber technique and other martial arts into the grid, wanting to use his luck points to try to fuse them. Unfortunately, luck points seemed to only be able to fuse cultivation methods, but had no reaction to martial arts. Later, because of the changes in Cold Mountain, he temporarily put the matter of luck points aside. Now that the matter of Cold Mountain and Yuanzhong was taken over by Jingfeng and the others, he, as the sect master, had become the most idle one. Therefore, Qin Shujian only thought about the luck points now. If he remembered correctly, he would be, in addition to being able to fuse cultivation methods, luck points could also be fused into items, turning them into treasures of luck. As for what treasures of luck were, Qin Shujian actually didn't know much about it. However, there was one thing he was sure of, and that was that fusing with luck points was definitely beneficial to any item. After all, anything that involved the word luck seemed to be quite high and mighty. For Qin Shujian, among his personal items, only the Qin Shanxue could be used, and he sincerely liked this weapon. Therefore, after knowing about the treasures of luck, he actually already had an idea in his heart. The problem is, how should I fuse the luck points? Qin Shujian looked at the luck points on his attribute panel, as well as the Qin Shanxue in his hand. He tried to control it with his mind, but there was no change. It was different from fusing cultivation methods. In the grid that appeared, he also tried to put the Qin Shanxue in, but he didn't succeed. Finally, Qin Shujian's gaze fell on the Qin Shanxue's blade. Name: Qin Shanxue Grade, 5th Grade Refined Weapon, Upgradable Introduction. This blade was born for slaughter. Those with weak minds will eventually be reduced to puppets for slaughter. This was not the first time he had seen the attributes of the Qin Shanxue, but this time, it was different from the past. At the end of the grade, there was suddenly an additional word that could be upgraded. Immediately, Qin Shujian's idea landed on it. You have luck points on you. Do you want to consume a certain amount of luck points to upgrade your grade? Yes. The idea moved. Suddenly, his 7 luck points dropped by 1. At the same time, there seemed to be something that couldn't be seen clearly falling down. Then the long blade hummed softly, as if it had received some kind of benefit. There was a faint horizontal line on the silver-white blade. The line was very shallow, almost imperceptible. But with this line, the Qian Shanxue, which was supposed to be a killing weapon, had an inexplicable taste, and its sharpness had become stronger. Name: Qian Shanxue. Category: Treasure of Luck Grade, 4th grade refined weapon, upgradable. Introduction. It was supposed to be a killing weapon, but it accidentally merged with luck and transformed into a treasure of luck. Holding it can play the role of improving and suppressing the sect's luck. Compared to before, there was an additional category division. It was directly upgraded from a 5th grade refined weapon to a 4th grade refined weapon. Looking at the long blade in his hand, Qin Shujian's eyes flickered, and he praised. It turns out that the treasure of luck can improve and suppress the sect's luck. Isn't this effect similar to the legendary innate spiritual objects that can improve luck? After praising, he looked at the consumed luck points and raised his eyebrows. Consuming 1 luck point directly upgraded it by 1 grade. Is the grade of a refined weapon worthless, or is luck points more precious than I thought? Looking at the remaining 6 luck points, Qin Shujian thought for a while and directly piled them on the Qian Shanxue. Buzz! On the peak of the mountain, there was a sudden breeze, gradually pulling the clouds. A crisp sound of the blade instantly resounded through the entire Yuan sect. Everyone felt their bodies relax, and the sound of the blade seemed to penetrate deep into their souls, washing away the filth in their minds. Hearing the deep sound of the blade, Gu Feng raised his head and looked in the direction of the mountain peak, his eyes filled with doubt and shock. With his knowledge, for a moment, he didn't know what was going on with the sound of the blade. Then, a powerful aura that made people in the basic martial realm tremble came from beside him. Gu Feng was instantly awakened, and immediately saw Zheng Feng, whose gray hair was fluttering, and his aura was like a rainbow. He couldn't help but blurt out, "Real martial realm." A second ago, he was an expert of the 9th level of the basic martial realm. In the next second, he became an expert of the real martial realm. Gu Feng was confident that he wasn't mistaken about the powerful aura that belonged to the real martial realm. In the branch of the Chung Yuan Trading Company, there were also experts of this level. Although an expert who had just entered the real martial realm was extraordinary, with Gu Feng's status, he wouldn't be too shocked. What really shocked him was the speed at which he broke through. Almost at the same time as Zheng Feng broke through to the real martial realm. Within the Yuan sect, close to 10 auras erupted. Every aura was far beyond the basic martial realm. Every aura. It was as if they were telling Gu Feng that these were all experts of the real martial realm. The change in the Yuan sect. It shocked Gu Feng, and also caused the craftsman he brought to tremble from the aura, not daring to act rashly. Soon, Gu Feng immediately reacted. A 3rd grade force. To be able to increase the strength of everyone in the sect, only a force could do so. The Cold Mountain Stronghold used to be a 2nd grade force. Although the Cold Mountain Stronghold no longer existed, and only the Yuan sect was independent, it didn't mean that the Cold Mountain Stronghold had been disbanded. It had simply changed its name and the nature of the force. However, in essence, it didn't change. Therefore, the Yuan sect was now a 2nd grade force. If it was promoted further, it would only become a 3rd grade force. At this thought, Gu Feng found it hard to remain calm. A 3rd grade force. It could even be ranked among the top in the True Dominion. Some of the old sects that had existed for hundreds or thousands of years were mostly 3rd grade forces. Just like that, these sects could survive for a long time. The Yuan sect had just been established, but it had already been promoted to a 3rd grade force. In the future, it might be able to reach the 4th or 5th level, or even surpass the 5th level. If it really reached that stage, even the entire Chung Yuan Trading Company would have to treat it seriously. For a moment, due to the sudden promotion of the Yuan sect, Gu Feng stood rooted to the ground. His thoughts. Unknowingly, he had drifted far away. Chapter 122. Name, Qian Shanchue category, Treasure of Luck level, low-grade spiritual weapon introduction, slay evil and suppress luck. Looking at the long saber in his hand that had changed greatly, Qin Shujian couldn't help but feel shocked. Just now, he threw all 6 luck points on Qian Shanchue. As a result, not only did this long saber surpass the level of a refined weapon, but it also directly promoted Yuanzong to a 3rd-level force. This was something that Qin Shujian never expected. He knew that the Treasure of Luck could improve the sect's luck, but what he didn't expect was that just 7 luck points was enough to raise Yuanzong's level by a single level. Thinking back, in order to promote from a 1st-level force to a 2nd-level force, Liangshan village directly annexed several forces and a novice village, and finally managed to promote. It was already so difficult to promote from a 1st-level force to a 2nd-level force. It would only be more difficult to promote from a 2nd-level force to a 3rd-level force. But for so long, Liangshan village only annexed the core token of a novice village, which was far from the standard of promotion. Now, 7 luck points directly made up for this shortcoming. This time, the effect of the luck points directly raised Qin Shujian's level in his mind by several levels. Low-grade spiritual weapon. Looking at the long saber that had already turned into a crystal, the shallow horizontal lines on the saber had become clear at this time, as if they were naturally engraved. Even if he didn't swing the saber had a fierce aura overflowing, which made people shudder. Buzz. The long saber automatically hummed again. A kind of telepathic thought was transmitted from the saber, which made Qin Shujian feel an inexplicable emotion. It was like joy. It was also like curiosity. The saber has a spirit, so it's called a spiritual weapon. Qin Shujian somewhat understood what a spiritual weapon was. 7 luck points can directly upgrade a 5th-grade refined weapon to a spiritual weapon level. If I get more luck points, what level can it be upgraded to? A fairy weapon or a divine weapon? Then, he looked at the number of life sources. There were only a little more than 1,000 life sources left, but now there were more than 6,000, almost 7,000. The reason for this? It was because the promotion of a 3rd-level force directly gave him 5,000 life sources as compensation. In a 3rd-class force, the highest level of cultivation could be raised to was the 2nd level of the martial realm. At the same time, his lower limit was raised to the 9th stage of the basic realm. The aura unique to the genuine martial realm that had erupted from Yuanzong's body did not escape Qin Shujian's perception. Based on the number of martial artists in the Sky Origin sect who were at the 8th level of the basic martial realm, the increase of 3 levels was enough to push these people to the 1st level of the true martial realm. As for Feng, who was in the 9th stage of the basic realm, he had directly reached the 2nd stage of the true martial realm. The 1,000 over Yuan sect disciples who had just come into contact with the cultivation method had naturally reached the 3rd level of the basic martial realm. It could be said that a single promotion was enough to double the strength of the entire force. Then, Qin Shujian studied the 1,000 mountain blood in his hand again. 4 low-grade spiritual weapons. This was the first time he had heard of and seen the real thing. On the other side, Feng also recovered from the sudden increase in strength. Feeling the liquefied quintessence in his body, he came to a realization. Master Zhang, how do you feel? Gu Feng's words directly pulled him back to reality. Hearing this, he smiled and said, I was a little rude just now. Steward Gu, please don't take offense. A promotion in strength is a good thing. May I ask, what level is Master Zhang at now? The 2nd level of the true martial realm, Gu Feng said to himself. As expected, a 3rd-level force was raised by 3 levels. An expert in the 9th stage of the basic realm directly became an expert in the 2nd stage of the true martial realm. This was also the reason why there were so many experts who wanted to enter sects with great prospects. The reason was because the promotion of a force was very likely to reduce years or even decades of hard work. Then he cupped his hands and congratulated. A breakthrough from the 9th stage of the basic realm to the 2nd stage of the true martial realm has saved a lot of hard work. I have to congratulate Master Zhang. Haha, Steward Gu, you're too polite. Feng was also in a good mood. With the promotion of a 3rd-level force, the entire Yuan sect strength had increased a lot. However, The sudden increase in strength did not cause too much change in Yuan's sect, because the most important thing at the moment was to solve the problem of renovation. Renovation was more like renovation. It was more like rebuilding. When Mount Liang changed, it did not affect the buildings on the mountain too much. Most of the buildings that were destroyed were the villages built at the foot of the mountain. However, with Yuan's sect's current status, it was impossible for them to continue using the simple model of a village. A sect was not something a bandit force could compare to. Therefore, Qin Shujian had the idea of rebuilding. 3 days passed in a row. In these 3 days, the entire Yuan sect was busy. There were hundreds of skilled craftsmen and thousands of Yuan sect members assisting them. In these 3 days, they had used up a lot of building materials, but in exchange, they were able to see the beginnings of a house. This is Mount Liang? Song Qing looked at the towering mountain in front of him that seemed to reach the clouds. The shock in his heart was needless to say. Whether it was in real life or in the game, this was the first time he was so close to such a majestic mountain. It was not too hard to find the location of Mount Liang. As a player, the location of every novice village was shared on the forum. There were also maps drawn by players who liked to explore. Not to mention the distance. If a player was in the same ordinary realm or true dominion, it was not difficult to find a nearby boundary. It was difficult. However, when crossing the boundary, one would have to face unknown dangers, or a powerful monster, or an ambush by other players. For example, players killing other players to drop equipment would happen from time to time in the game. From the Flying Leaf City to the boundary of Mount Liang, only Song Qing knew how much trouble he had encountered. Fortunately, he was already a high-level player at the 7th stage of the martial initiation realm, or else it was still unknown whether he would be able to reach this place. The coordinates on the map could not be faked. Therefore, after looking at Mount Liang from afar, Song Qing immediately increased his pace and rushed towards Mount Liang. I hope that I can successfully enter the sect this time. Otherwise, these few days will be wasted. When he thought about entering the sect, his heart burned with passion. This was the reason why he had traveled such a long distance to come here. After learning that Qin Shujian had broken through to the true martial realm and established a sect, causing the true dominion players of Mount Liang to activate the sect mode, Song Qing had rushed to Mount Liang immediately. In fact, other than him, many other players had made the same decision. However, Song Qing's luck was better. He was the first to reach Mount Liang. Soon, with the strength of the 6th stage of the martial initiation realm, it did not take long for him to reach the foot of Mount Liang. Just as Song Qing was about to ascend the mountain, a person blocked his path. May I ask if you are an expert from the Origin sect? Inhuman? Lu Er looked down at Song Qing with a strange expression on his face. Song Qing cupped his hands politely and said, yes. However, before he could finish his sentence, he saw the NPC in front of him suddenly make a move. Suddenly, the top of his head turned black. Then, a terrifying pressure broke his bones and broke his tendons. His body was in pain as he turned into white light and dissipated. After killing the player in front of him with one palm, Lu Er shook his head and clicked his tongue in wonder. TSK. I did not expect that a mutant would dare to come knocking on my door. This is really strange. Ever since they had destroyed a few mutant villages, when the mutants saw them, they had almost run away. Now that a mutant had come knocking on his door, he naturally felt that it was strange. As the Origin sect's power level increased, Lu Er jumped from the 7th stage of the martial initiation realm to the 10th stage of the martial initiation realm. He was only one step away from breaking through the boundary and becoming a true Force Realm expert. For an expert of the 10th stage of the martial initiation realm to deal with a player of the 6th stage of the martial initiation realm, it was too easy to kill him in one move. After killing Song Qing with one palm, Lu Er ordered the other Origin sect members to guard the path up the mountain. Then, he immediately returned to report. Although the mutants that had appeared were not strong, or rather, they were a little weak, his sect master's attitude towards mutants was very cautious. Now that a mutant had appeared at the foot of Mount Liang, he naturally did not dare to hide this matter. On the other side, Novice Village, 16698. On the busy village road, a white light flashed and Song Qing's astonished face appeared. Even now, he still did not understand why he had died so quickly. He also did not understand why that NPC would suddenly make a move. Looking at the system notification, the person who had killed him was indeed someone from the Origin sect. Then, seeing that his cultivation had dropped by 1 stage, Song Qing's face instantly darkened. The Origin sect's NPC is too ruthless. He didn't even give me a chance to speak before killing me. Even if there was a disagreement, it shouldn't be to this extent. He felt that he had been very polite and did not offend anyone. Why would the other party suddenly make a move for no reason? Song Qing suddenly remembered how the Mount Liang village's fort master had destroyed the village and slaughtered the players. He could not help but wonder if the other party had an innate hatred towards players. Impossible. Since the system said that the sect mode is open, there is no reason why I can't enter a sect. Did I use the wrong method? Then, Song Qing shook his head and strengthened his belief. For him, the punishment of dying once was unbearable. However, if he could enter a sect, this kind of loss was not unbearable. However, looking at the place where he was, Song Qing wanted to cry but had no tears. I'm back. He had traveled for several days to reach Mount Liang. Now, after reviving, he had returned to the starting point. This meant that he would have to spend another few days to reach Mount Liang from here. His cultivation had dropped from the 6th stage of the martial realm to the 5th stage of the martial realm. This meant that it would be even more difficult for him to cross the boundary. If I die, then I die. No matter what, I have to enter a sect first. Song Qing gritted his teeth and made up his mind. He turned around and went to the village to purchase some necessary resources before leaving the village again. On the other side, Lu Er also reported the matter of the Inhumans to Qin Shujian. This time, after hearing the news of the players, Qin Shujian calmed down a lot. His powerful strength gave him the confidence to sit back and watch the clouds move. Chapter 123. It wasn't strange that there were players. After all, the number of players in the game was probably in the hundreds of millions. This could be seen from the name of the novice village. What was strange was why the players came to Liang Mountain. One had to know. Since the players had arrived, the former Liang Mountain stronghold and the current Sky Origin sect had destroyed 3 novice villages in a row. If resurrection was counted as 1 life, then the number of players who had died at the hands of the Sky Origin sect was probably in the hundreds of thousands. Under such circumstances, Qin Shujian didn't believe that these players were not afraid of the Sky Origin sect. If it was a large group of players, it would be fine. He could still think that there were some daring players who had come to form a team to clear the dungeon. But there was only one person. What was the difference between that and death? After pondering for a while, Qin Shujian asked, how strong is the mutant? He should be at the 6th or 7th stage of the basic martial realm. However, if he could be killed by me with 1 palm, then he shouldn't have exceeded this range, Lu Er answered truthfully. Speaking of which, he paused for a while before continuing. However, the mutant just now seemed a little different from the other mutants. His tone was somewhat polite, and I didn't feel any killing intent from him. Although there wasn't any killing intent, the mutant had been killed with 1 palm. However, Lu Er still thought that this matter should be reported to Qin Shujian. When Qin Shujian heard this, his expression changed slightly. No evil intent? This didn't conform to the way players did things. He thought of something and said slowly, if more mutants come and there aren't many of them, don't be in a hurry to act. Observe the situation. If there are too many of them, kill them directly. Yes, Lu Er replied respectfully. Immediately after, he turned and left. Qin Shujian had an indescribable expression as he recalled what Lu Er had said. All this time, he had thought that Liang Mountain Stronghold was equivalent to a dungeon that players had cleared. He himself was equivalent to the dungeon's guardian boss. There was no possibility of reconciliation between him and the players. However, looking at the situation now, it seemed that there was a slight discrepancy with his expectations. Qin Shujian didn't know. Was this something that he hadn't noticed before, or was this change caused by the Sky Origin sect's promotion to the True Dominion? The game has been updated? Or did something happen that I don't know? Several thoughts flashed through Qin Shujian's mind. He was not a local NPC. His previous self had experience as a player, so he was especially sensitive to these changes. However, a guess was just a guess. It couldn't be taken seriously. At this moment, Qin Shujian suddenly had the urge to understand the players. For example, which world did the player come from? Was it the world of his previous life, or some other foreign world? Or perhaps, who was the one who developed this game world? Was he really just a virtual NPC, or was this a real world? In his previous life, Qin Shujian couldn't remember when games had developed to such an extent. Even in his previous life, games were still controlled by the keyboard. These things. In the past, he didn't think too much about it because he didn't have much time to think about it. His mind was filled with ideas of how to get rid of the players. Now that he had some free time and coincidentally encountered this matter, he had these thoughts. Immediately, Qin Shujian's expression became solemn. If there was a GM in this game, then he should be considered an uncontrollable factor that took advantage of the game's bug. If his actions were discovered to be wrong, what if his data were reconstructed, or this character was directly deleted? Would he cease to exist? However, if this is really the case, my previous few attacks on the village should have attracted attention. Unless the degree of freedom in this game is extremely high, and every NPC's actions have no fixed script. Qin Shujian muttered to himself. Immediately, his eyes lit up. Perhaps, this game doesn't have a GM? After all, rather than saying that someone developed such a realistic game, I'm more inclined to believe that this is a real world. The thing that could make him have such thoughts. It was just because everything in the game was too realistic. It was so realistic that the NPCs in the game were like living people with flesh and blood. If it wasn't for the appearance of the players, and the data on the attribute panel, and the settings that could be refreshed and revived, Qin Shujian would have thought that this was a real world. It was also because of this that he had so many guesses. He suppressed the thoughts in his heart. Qin Shujian decided not to think about this problem for the time being. When the time was right in the future, he would take the opportunity to understand it. However, before that, I seem to have something that I haven't done. Qin Shujian rubbed his chin with his palm. He flipped through the memories in his mind, trying to recall what he had missed. To put it bluntly, it was because he had too much free time during this period. Everyone in Yuan sect was busy with the matters of repair and reconstruction. As the sect master, he couldn't do it personally. If he did, it would be a little degrading. While he was bored, naturally, he wanted to find something to do. What exactly is it? Qin Shujian kept flipping through the memories, and he couldn't help but frown. All of a sudden, he took out a bronze token from his chest, and a smile instantly appeared on his face. I was wondering what I had forgotten. It turns out that it was about this unknown cave. Holding the bronze token in his hand, Qin Shujian finally remembered. He remembered that when he had used the bronze token, the coordinates of the unknown cave had shown that it was in the immortal plains. However, when he was about to explore it, the undying evil lord had broken out of the seal, and the demon disaster had prevailed, causing this plan to be temporarily put on hold. Later on, after killing the undying evil lord and coming into contact with the demon disaster, he couldn't immediately recall it. However, Qin Shujian looked at the bronze token in his hand, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Now that I have nothing to do, I can take a look at this unknown cave. Maybe there will be some good opportunities. He wasn't worried about any danger inside. A cave that existed in the ordinary realm, he expected that its threat level wouldn't exceed the basic realm. With his current level of level 3 true martial realm, he could directly soar to level 8 false true martial realm in the Liang Mountain Real Dominion. He could go anywhere in the Liang Mountain Real Dominion. He would do it as soon as he thought of it. Qin Shujian's character had always been swift and decisive. Soon, he called Jingfeng over. I'm leaving the Yuan sect and will be back in a day or two. If there's anything, I'll leave it to you. Zhang Feng was now an expert at level 2 true martial realm. In the entire Yuan sect, other than him, the sect master, he was the strongest. In addition, he was well-versed in the ways of the world. Qin Shujian was able to temporarily entrust the Yuan sect to him, so he could rest assured. Hearing this, Zhang Feng replied respectfully, I'll follow the sect master's orders. He didn't ask too much. Even though he was now an expert of the true martial realm, He didn't overstep in front of Qin Shujian. Seeing his attitude, Qin Shujian nodded to himself. After a simple explanation, he directly left. As for Qin Shujian's departure, no one wantonly announced it, and no one deliberately concealed it. It was just so natural. Everything in the Yuan sect was still going according to plan. The Immortal Plains wasn't far from the Liang Mountain boundary. With the speed of a true martial realm expert, it would take less than an hour to travel at full speed. However, Qin Shujian wasn't in a hurry, so there was no need to be too anxious. Walking on the wilderness road, there were weeds and lush trees everywhere. Whoosh! A black shadow pounced out from the bushes and directly blocked his path. When Qin Shujian looked over, he saw a tiger with white eyes, a white forehead, and the word Big King on its forehead. It was staring at him with bared teeth, saliva dripping from its sharp fangs. He was looking at the tiger. The tiger was also looking at him. To tell the truth, it wasn't that Qin Shujian hadn't seen a tiger before. At least on the lion-tiger plain, there were many tigers. However, it was his first time coming into contact with one at such a close distance. At this moment, the white tiger with drooping eyes paced back and forth on the spot, but its eyes never left Qin Shujian, as if it was looking for a point of attack. Qin Shujian's eyes focused. His pitch-black eyes were like sharp knives. Then, there seemed to be a shocking tiger roar, shaking hundreds of birds and causing them to fly away. Oh, whoa! The white tiger's heart suddenly trembled, as if it had seen something terrible. It directly turned around and ran away with its tail between its legs. Qin Shujian, however, continued to walk forward slowly. He had no intention of chasing after them. How much life source could a tiger provide? For his current number of thousands, the life source provided by this kind of beast was not even a hair from 9 oxen. Encountering the white tiger on the road was just a small interlude. Qin Shujian didn't take long to arrive at the edge of Liang Mountain. Further ahead, it was the range of the Immortal Plains. There was no need to hesitate. Qin Shujian directly stepped forward and entered the Immortal Plains. The undead demon lord had broken out of the seal. The demon disaster had already killed all the creatures in the Immortal Plains and turned them into a member of the demon disaster. The current Immortal Plains. It wasn't a place of death, but it was definitely a place where no human or animal survived. The erosion of demon chi is really tyrannical. Wherever the demon disaster passes, it's a place of death. Stepping on the black ground, Qin Shujian also sighed in his heart. Even if the evil demon was dead now. But this land that had been eroded by the demon chi had long been cut off from life. The black soil that was filled with death aura was the most direct symbol. Only after a long period of time and allowing the spirit energy of heaven and earth to wash it away would it be possible to expel the demon chi bit by bit, allowing this area to regain its vitality. Or else, this place would probably become a forbidden area where no life could set foot in. Subsequently, Qin Shujian took out the bronze token again. After sensing the exact location of the unknown cave, he put it away. Next, a powerful impact erupted from his feet, and his body flew straight over like a flying bird. In the blink of an eye, he had opened a distance of more than 10 feet. After entering the Immortal Plains, feeling the deathly stillness of this area, Qin Shujian didn't want to stay any longer. It wasn't that he was afraid. It was just that the deathly stillness of this area made people very uncomfortable. After staying for a long time, it affected his mood. Chapter 124. It was a dilapidated swamp. A faint greenish-black mist filled the air. Qin Shujian stepped on the surface of the swamp and poured true essence into his legs so that he would not sink into the swamp. This was only one of the uses of true essence. As an expert of the real martial arts realm, no matter what level it was far beyond the basic martial arts realm. This is the location of the unknown cave abode. Looking at the swamp around him, Qin Shujian's facial expression did not change. The greenish-black mist was formed by the mixture of marsh gas and other toxins. If an ordinary person entered this place without any means of avoiding the poison, it would only take a short while for the poison to take effect. Even if it was someone of the basic martial arts realm, as long as they did not reach the peak of their chi and blood, they would not be able to resist the poison gas here. Even if it was someone of the 6th stage of the basic martial arts realm, it would be difficult to maintain the poison if they stayed here for too long. However, all these restrictions were only for the basic martial arts realm. After all, this was a swamp born in the ordinary realm. No matter how strong they were, most of them revolved around the basic martial arts realm. Those that could threaten the real martial arts realm were very rare. Qin Shujian was not sure if there were any forbidden areas in the Liang Mountain True Dominion that could threaten the real martial arts realm. However, he was sure of one thing. Even if there were, it would definitely not include the swamp in front of him. Qin Shujian walked in the swamp according to the coordinates given by the bronze token. The greenish-black mist blocked most of the sunlight. The sunlight that shone in could only disperse a little of the darkness. Therefore, this swamp was in a dark environment all year round. Logically speaking, such an environment was most likely to breed all kinds of poisonous insects. However, while walking in the swamp, Qin Shujian did not find a single poisonous insect or even a living creature. When he felt the faint devil qi in the greenish-black mist, Qin Shujian suddenly understood. At the same time, he had a deeper understanding of the devil qi's ability to destroy everything. About 10 minutes later, Qin Shujian stopped in his tracks and looked at the dried-up swamp in front of him. He took out the bronze token. The bronze token, which had been normal all this time, suddenly emitted a greenish-black light that shone directly on the dried-up swamp. Rumble. The ground shook violently. In front of Qin Shujian's shocked eyes, the dry swamp cracked open, and a stone tablet as tall as 2 people rose directly from the bottom. On the stone tablet, 4 large words were engraved on it. Brilliant Star Immortal Cave. You found the cauldron abode. Information from the system appeared. Qin Shujian narrowed his eyes and looked at the 4 words on the stone tablet. A majestic aura instantly hit him in the face. Huading Cavern. Just from these 4 words, he could tell that the person who left behind the stone tablet was definitely extraordinary. At least, Qin Shujian didn't think he could do that. I thought it was just a small cave, but I didn't expect it to involve such an expert. It seems that there might be something good inside. Subsequently, he looked at the bottom right corner of the stone tablet. There was a dent there. If he wanted to compare, it just happened to match with the bronze token. After looking at the token in his hand, Qin Shujian walked up to the stone tablet and inserted the token into the gap. An invisible wave spread out from the stone tablet. Qin Shujian instinctively took 2 steps back and activated his quintessential essence. He stared at the stone tablet, guarding against any accidents. The words, Huading Cavern, on the stone tablet were violently distorted. Immediately, a crazy pulling force erupted. The spirit energy of heaven and earth above the immortal planes seemed to be pulled by something. It instantly broke through the barrier of the greenish-black fog and gathered in the stone tablet. As the greenish-black fog broke apart, a large amount of sunlight shone through the gap, dispelling most of the dark atmosphere in the swamp. The movement is quite big. Qin Shujian's expression was calm. The extent of the pulling force of the spirit energy of heaven and earth by the stone tablet was enough to affect the entire immortal planes. Such a movement was not small at all. At least, anyone with some strength in the Liang Mountain True Dominion should be able to detect this change. However, even if the movement of the stone tablet was big, Qin Shujian didn't care. In the Liang Mountain True Dominion, no one was qualified to snatch something in front of him. This was his confidence as the Liang Mountain Protectorate Lord. Therefore, when the stone tablet was pulling the spirit energy of heaven and earth crazily, Qin Shujian stood aside and watched silently. He allowed it to absorb. As the spirit energy of heaven and earth kept surging, a dense light gradually appeared on the stone tablet, like a whirlpool. This change, it lasted for half an hour. Qin Shujian looked a little impatient. The stone tablet had been absorbing for a long time, but it showed no signs of stopping. The scene in front of him also told him that the cave abode had not really opened. One had to know. Following the upgrade of the True Dominion, the spirit energy of heaven and earth had become several times richer than before. Under such circumstances, The stone tablet still needed to absorb the spirit energy of heaven and earth for such a long time. If it had been in the ordinary realm, Qin Shujian estimated that it would take more than half a day. All of a sudden, his ears twitched slightly. He lifted his head and looked into the distance. There, 3 figures were rushing in his direction. Every single one of them exuded a powerful aura. Given Qin Shujian's eyesight, he could tell that the 3 figures were 2 men and a woman. Before the 3 of them could get close, Qin Shujian suddenly struck out with his palm. His quintessential essence instantly transformed into a huge palm print and crushed toward the 3 of them. The terrifying power caused the 3 of them to stop abruptly. They looked at the incoming palm print in shock. At the same time, an angry shout was heard. Scram! This simple word caused the blood in their bodies to disperse. Immediately after, the palm print approached them. The 3 of them could not resist it. They were directly pushed back by the palm print. He was sent flying for hundreds of feet before falling into the swamp. As soon as they landed, the 3 of them realized that they had not suffered any serious injuries. They immediately turned around and flew out of the swamp. They were not stupid. That palm strike just now was obviously the person who had struck out with mercy. Or else, given his terrifying strength, he could definitely kill the 3 of them with one move. With such an expert around, the 3 of them did not dare think about the anomaly in the swamp. Only after they had escaped far away, the 2 men and the woman finally stopped. Huff and puff. One of the middle-aged men was panting heavily. He looked at the swamp forest behind him with lingering fear and said in shock, "The person who attacked us was a true martial realm expert." Quintessential essence left his body. He must be a true martial realm expert. The other man nodded and said in shock, "It has only been a while since we advanced to the true dominion. How could there be a true martial realm expert so quickly? Could he be an expert from another region? Maybe he is from another region, or maybe he is from the true dominion of Mount Liang. Could he be?" The 3 of them looked at each other and suddenly stopped talking. It would be fine if he was an expert from another region. However, if he was from the true dominion, given the fact that the true dominion had just been upgraded, the identity of a true martial realm expert was obvious. The woman sighed and said, "I did not expect that the anomaly would be caused by the protectorate lord of Mount Liang. With an expert like him around, there is nothing for us to do. If he had not shown mercy, we would have died there. Let's go, let's go." The other 2 also understood in their hearts. On the other side, Qin Shujian retracted his palm and watched the 3 fleeing figures. He did not attack again. The 3 people who had been attracted by the anomaly, he had no intention of silencing them. As long as they knew what was good for them, he would give them a warning and let them leave. However, if they did not know what was good for them, Qin Shujian would show them the strength of the protectorate lord of Mount Liang's strength. The stone tablet was still absorbing the spirit qi of heaven and earth. During this period, several more groups of people rushed over from all directions. There was no exception. These people could not even get close to the stone tablet before they were sent flying by Qin Shujian's palm. Quintessential essence left the body. This was the sign of a true martial realm expert. For ordinary people in the basic martial realm, they might not know what the true martial realm was like. However, almost all the people who had been attracted to the stone tablet were top-notch basic realm experts. Every single one of them. They were at least at the 8th stage of the basic realm. Such experts were qualified to know about the true dominion, and most of them knew about the existence of the true martial realm. Therefore, when they saw the quintessential essence leave the body, the knowledgeable people left without looking back. A true martial realm expert in a place like the Immortal Plane, which was close to Mount Liang. They only needed to think a little to know. There was a high probability that the person who had attacked them was that person, even if it was someone they did not know. When they realized the difference in strength between the 2 sides, they would retreat silently. No matter what, up until now, everyone who had come was still tactful. They did not let Qin Shujian kill them. Another hour passed. Finally, the suction force of the stone tablet weakened. The surging spirit qi of heaven and earth seemed to have lost its target. Without the spirit qi of heaven and earth, the opening above the swamp only existed for a short while before it was covered by the dark green fog again. The entire swamp sank into darkness. Then, the darkness only lasted for a short while before it was swept away by a warm light. The stone tablet, which had absorbed a large amount of spirit chi of heaven and earth, was emitting a dark green light, as if it was made of jade. In the middle of the stone tablet, a dense whirlpool was rotating slowly. A faint aura was emitted from behind the whirlpool, indicating that the cave abode had officially opened. Qin Shujian glanced at the stone tablet twice before he finally arrived in front of the whirlpool. When he sensed the aura behind the whirlpool, he stepped into it without hesitation. A mysterious fluctuation spread. The moment Qin Shujian's body touched the whirlpool, it was as if he had been swallowed by the stone tablet. Not a trace of his body could be seen. As Qin Shujian entered, the dark green light emitted by the stone tablet suddenly weakened. In an instant, the swamp regained its tranquility. Chapter 125. You have entered the Huading Cave Abode. After passing through the whirlpool, Qin Shujian received a message from the system before he could see his surroundings clearly. When he looked around, he realized that he was in a tunnel. Soon after, Qin Shujian looked at his attributes. Apart from the fact that he did not have Yuanzong's bonus, he still had the bonus from the Liangshan Protectorate Lord. This meant that he was still in the Liangshan True Dominion. When he looked back, Qin Shujian saw the whirlpool that he had entered from. Then, he looked away and walked toward the tunnel. He knew that he would arrive at another place after passing through the whirlpool. This was the first time he had heard of it. Before he figured out the trick, Qin Shujian could not estimate the specific strength of the person who had left the cave abode. Not long after, the tunnel suddenly widened. 3 stone doors appeared in Qin Shujian's line of sight. There was a strange word engraved on each of the stone doors. Qin Shujian realized that he did not recognize it, but he understood the meaning of the word the moment he saw it. Heaven, earth, and human? There was a heaven door, an earth door, and a human door. The heaven door was in the middle. The earth door was on the left. The human door was on the right. Do I have to choose one of the 3? Qin Shujian was hesitant for a moment. The situation in front of him was very clear. Behind the 3 stone doors, there should be different things. However, since the person who had left the cave abode had divided the stone doors into 3, there was a high probability that the person who entered the cave abode could only choose one of them. Of course, he also needed to be able to open all 3 stone doors. However, these were uncertain things. Qin Shujian frowned as he looked at the heaven, earth, and human stone doors. His gaze swept back and forth between them. Maybe he could choose all of them. Maybe he could only choose one of the 3. Therefore, the choice now was very important. In the end, Qin Shujian's gaze landed on the heaven door in the middle. There was no other reason. It was just that he felt that the things behind the heaven door might be more important. When he arrived in front of the heaven door, Qin Shujian placed his palm on the stone door and wanted to push it open. As soon as he exerted force, he found that the stone door did not budge at all. It was as if it was not a stone door, but a stone wall. Open! Qin Shujian's complexion became serious. He shouted in his heart, and the real qi in his dantian instantly burst out. A terrifying power gushed out from his palm and directly pushed the stone door open. The moment the stone door opened a crack, a ray of dim light shot out from within. Qin Shujian was shocked. Without thinking, he retreated. At the same time, he unsheathed the mountain blood. Powerful quintessential essence surged, and he slashed out a sharp saber light. This saber, he gave it his all. This was also the first time since he had stepped into the true martial realm that he had truly used all his strength. This blade, which was enough to kill a true martial realm martial artist, was nothing in front of the dim light. In fact, the saber hadn't even slashed down completely. The dim light had already pierced through the saber radiance and directly entered Qin Shujian's eyes. Boom! There was a buzzing sound in his mind. Qin Shujian only felt that the dim light occupied his eyes, and his vision suddenly blurred. When he came back to his senses, he was standing in the swamp again. The stone tablet was still the same stone tablet. However, the whirlpool on it had disappeared, and the words Huading Cave Mansion were restored. You've got the spiritual eye. Name, Qin Shujin title, Liangshan Region Leader Identity, Sect Leader of Yuan Sect Affiliation, Yuan Sect Influence Level, Level 2 Realm, Level 8 of the True Martial Realm, within the Liangshan region, Realm +5, Cultivation Method, Level 13 of the Origin Canon, Level 11 of Longevity Extension, Level 7 of Indestructible Body, Level 6 of the Star-Shattering Quintessential Essence, Low Grade of the True Rank, Martial Arts, Black Tiger Saber Technique, Dao Accessing, 5. Elements 8 Trigram Steps, Oneness of Heaven and Man, Low Grade of the Mortal Rank, 7 Leaf Flower Piercing Palm, plus, Perfection, Low Grade of the Mortal Rank, Special Ability, Spiritual Eye Life Source, 1886 Luck Value. 0 Looking at his own attributes, Qin Shujian was also curious. Compared to before, there was an additional special ability in his attributes. Spiritual Eye, Qin Shujian murmured. He tried to put his mind power on it, but he did not get any useful information. However, when he looked at his surroundings, his expression changed abruptly. In his vision, in the dim swamp, there was a trace of illusory black gas, which was completely different from the surrounding greenish-black fog, as if it existed independently. Wherever the black gas went, the greenish-black fog would retreat, as if it had encountered a terrifying existence. When a wisp of black gas swam past a withered plant, the plant instantly withered. The plant immediately withered. In less than 10 seconds, it had completely withered. This was Devil Chi. Qin Shujian looked solemn. He had never seen what the real Devil Chi was like, because it was like the spirit Chi of heaven and earth. It was invisible and could quietly erode everything. The illusory black gas in front of him had similar characteristics to Devil Chi. After thinking about where he was, Qin Shujian was basically sure. It was Devil Chi. Subsequently, Qin Shujian looked away again and found that in addition to the illusory black gas, there was also the same illusory green gas, but compared to Devil Chi, the quantity was much less. In these illusory green gas, he felt the breath of life, as well as a faint pure energy. Spirit Chi of heaven and earth. Qin Shujian was no stranger to this. Spirit Chi of heaven and earth was also invisible and intangible. Only when it was rich to an extreme level would it appear in front of people. But now, whether it was the invisible Devil Chi or the invisible Spirit Chi of heaven and earth, they were all revealed in his eyes, as if they existed in a tangible form. The sudden change. Qin Shujian instantly understood that this was the change brought about by the so-called spiritual eye. This special ability without any description was more like a passive skill, allowing him to see more things that ordinary people could not see. This feeling, it was more like seeing through the essence. Immediately, Qin Shujian's eyes fell on the stone tablet again. A spiritual eye was hidden in a gate of heaven. Then what was hidden behind the remaining earth gate and human gate? Thinking of this, Qin Shujian stretched out his hand. However, the moment his finger touched the stone tablet immediately dissipated like powder. In the blink of an eye, a tall stone tablet completely disappeared from his line of sight. Seeing this, Qin Shujian shook his head, feeling a little regretful in his heart. There is a spiritual eye in the gate of heaven, and there must be other precious things behind the other 2 stone doors. Unfortunately, there is only one chance to choose among the 3 stone doors. He didn't know whether he would have the chance to enter the other 2 stone doors in the future, or say, as the stone tablet dissipated, the entire cave, including the 2 stone doors, were buried together. But after a moment of regret, Qin Shujian's mind returned to normal. It was an accident to be able to enter the Huading cave. Obtaining the spiritual eye was even more of an unexpected gain. I'm lucky to have it. It's my life to lose it. He was able to accept these things. Moreover, a spiritual eye proved that this trip to the immortal planes was not in vain. Subsequently, Qin Shujian did not stay for too long and directly walked out of the swamp. The cave had already been opened, and the things inside were already in his hands. There was no need to stay in this deathly silent place. Although he was not afraid of the poisonous gas, he still felt uncomfortable staying for too long. From the time he left Yuan Sect to the time he returned to Yuan Sect, it took less than a day from start to finish. It was much shorter than the 3 to 5 days he originally thought. The main reason was because there were no twists and turns in opening the cave. Originally, according to Qin Shujian's guess, there might be some kind of danger in this cave, or some other trouble that would make him spend some effort. But the reality was, there was nothing in the cave. In a simple and smooth manner, he had obtained the spiritual eye. However, Qin Shujian thought about it, and realized that although the cave seemed ordinary, it was not simple. To open the stone door, he used the true yuan of the real martial realm. If not, with the strength of the basic martial realm, he would not be able to do anything to the stone door. Just this point. If he had been in the ordinary realm, it would have been enough to make everyone despair. Not long after Qin Shujian returned to Yuan's sect, another group of players arrived at the foot of Liang Mountain. This is Liang Mountain. Could the Liang Mountain Fort Master be up there? The Liang Mountain Fort Master is a thing of the past. Now that he has established Yuan's sect, he should be the sect master. The 4 players, 2 men and 2 women, looked at the majestic Liang Mountain in awe. One of the female players, Miao Yuqing, said, "After we activated the sect mode, players from other regions have headed to the True Dominion in an attempt to join a sect. However, until now, I have not heard of anyone who has succeeded. Their failure does not mean that it will be the same for us. After all, we have suddenly advanced to the True Dominion, which has indirectly shaken off the players from other regions." Among the 4, Lu Dazhong chuckled. No players had ever joined a sect, so nobody knew what a sect was like. However, there was one thing that everyone agreed on. That was, players who could join a sect were definitely not comparable to those who were still in the novice village. In fact, after reaching the 10th stage basic martial realm, one might have to rely on a sect to break through to the true martial realm. As the 4 of them chatted, they were about to head up the mountain. All of a sudden, 2 people dressed in green robes blocked their way. "This is the territory of the Yuan sect. Who are you people?" Lu Er looked at the 4 people in front of him with a strange look in his eyes. They were mutants, just like how players could recognize NPCs with a single glance. The people in this world could also recognize players as soon as they saw them. According to what they had done in the past, when they saw mutants, they should immediately start a massacre. However, when he recalled Qin Shujian's previous instructions, Lu Er did not immediately make a move this time. Instead, he looked at the 4 people with a sharp gaze. It seemed as though he would attack immediately if something went wrong. Chapter 126. The 4 of them looked at each other. Finally, Lu Dazhong took a step forward. After thinking for a while, he said politely, "The Origin sect is famous in the Liang Mountain True Dominion. What do we need to do to join your sect?" "Join the Origin sect?" "Yes." Lu Er did not speak when he saw the respectful look on Lu Dazhong's and the others' faces. He had thought of a few possibilities. He had not expected that there would be people who wanted to join the Origin sect. Lu Er did not speak. Lu Dazhong and the others stood there awkwardly. They had not received any system information. Just as Miao Yuqing was about to speak, Lu Er said in a deep voice, "I have to report this matter to the sect master. You guys wait here for a while." "Thank you." Lu Dazhong was delighted. Lu Er said to the Origin sect disciples who had followed him, "Watch them. If they do anything untoward, kill them immediately." After saying that, he ignored the embarrassed Lu Dazhong and the others and walked up the mountain. Liang Mountain. It had changed a lot. Houses and palaces had been built and the mountain roads had been reconstructed. However, it would take some time before it was completed. Lu Er walked to the meeting hall with ease. "Greetings, sect master. What's the matter?" Qin Shujian looked up and put down the book in his hand slowly. When he saw Lu Er, his eyes flashed imperceptibly, and the other party's attributes appeared in his eyes. Name: Lu Er. Title: None. Identity: Origin sect disciple. Affiliation: Origin sect. Faction level: Level 2 realm, martial arts realm. Level 10 cultivation technique, body tempering scripture. Level 7 martial arts, 5 elements. 8 trigram steps, beginner, 100 saber techniques, beginner, loyalty, 100. It was not strange that Qin Shujian, as the sect master, could see through the attributes of the people from the Origin sect. The real change It was in the increased loyalty at the end. Loyalty. 100. This meant that the other party was already loyal, and there was no possibility of betrayal. Even if Lu Er was originally a bandit of the Liang Mountain stronghold, and there was no possibility of betrayal, there was still a big difference compared to the loyalty now. At least, this was a direct reflection. This was another function that Qin Shujian discovered after obtaining the spirit eye. However, it was different from seeing through the heaven and earth spirit qi. If he wanted to see through the attributes of others, he would need to use his true essence to stimulate his spirit eye. It was only for a moment. The light in Qin Shujian's eyes dimmed. Almost at the same time, Lu Er felt an inexplicable chill in his body, as if someone had seen through him. However, this feeling came and went quickly, making him mistakenly think that it was an illusion. Soon after, he threw this feeling to the back of his mind, cupped his hands and said, "Sect Master, there is another person at the foot of the mountain who said that he wants to join our Yuan sect." Join the Yuan sect. Qin Shujian narrowed his eyes. In an instant, he thought of many things. To tell the truth, Qin Shujian had never thought that he would have too much to do with the players. The two sides had always been opposing each other. But now, there were actually players who wanted to join the Yuan sect. He believed that this was definitely not something that an individual player had done on the spur of the moment. Thus, his original guess that there might be other changes in the game could basically be confirmed. Because before the Yuan sect was established, when he was still the master of Mount Liang village, such a thing had never happened. It was definitely not a coincidence. Qin Shujian sank into deep thought, while Lu Er respectfully stood to the side, remaining silent. After a while, only then did Qin Shujian recover from his thoughts. He muttered, "Let them go back first and come back half a month later." Yes. After Lu Er left, Qin Shujian stood up from his seat, pacing back and forth in the meeting room. Recruiting players. This was the first time this thought appeared in his mind. As the time that players spent in the game increased, the strength of the group of players would definitely become stronger. How many beginner villages were there? Tens of thousands. How many players were there? Hundreds of millions. Right now, he could fight against hundreds or even thousands of people because of the absolute suppression of his realm. However, if this advantage was discarded, in layman's terms, he could only be considered a slightly stronger boss. Not to mention anything else. Before he broke through to the true martial realm, as long as there were hundreds of players at the 8th stage basic martial realm and above, they would be able to crush him. A beginner village could not produce so many high-level players. However, 10, 100, or even 1,000 beginner villages could always produce enough high-level players. Furthermore, the players improved rapidly. Such changes were happening almost all the time. Qin Shujian was confident that he could destroy a few beginner villages and contend against a player of the True Dominion by himself. However, the True Dominion of Mount Liang was not the only one in this world. If the players really went crazy and attacked him as a group, even if he dragged the entire Yuan sect with him, they would only be annihilated in the face of such a huge number of people. Of course, this situation was not very likely to happen. After all, not many players would be so free as to cross mountains and rivers to join forces just to deal with the Yuan sect. However, this also showed one thing, that there was a limit to one's strength. In the past, Qin Shujian had not thought so much. However, when players came and wanted to join the sect, he suddenly understood. Instead of relying on himself to work himself to death, he might as well use the advantages of the players to decorate himself. This way, with the addition of players, the Yuan sect would not become the target of all the players in the future. At the same time, he could use a large number of players to obtain more life sources. Of course, Qin Shujian wanted to confirm that the players who joined the Yuan sect could also provide him with a corresponding life source. In that case, with the support of a large number of players, he believed that his strength would always be above the players. When he thought of this, Qin Shujian gradually formed a perfect plan in his heart. Subsequently, he returned to the room that had already been built and ordered someone to bring him a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. On the sandalwood table, there was a thick stack of rice paper. Qin Shujian picked up the brush and dipped some black ink into the inkstone. This world was somewhat similar to the one he was familiar with. At the very least, the tools used to write were still the same. Holding the brush, after thinking for a while, Qin Shujian picked up a piece of rice paper and wrote the 3 words body-forging scripture on the right side. Following that, he wrote down all 10 levels of the body-tempering scripture from memory. 10 levels of body-forging scripture. 10 levels of eternal spring art. 10 levels of tiger subduing body-forging scripture. 10 levels of rock scripture. 10 levels of flowing water. And the last 7 levels of iron casting scripture. Because the iron casting scripture was a mortal level middle-level cultivation scripture, only 7 levels were recorded in it. It could allow one to cultivate to the 7th level of martial arts realm. Further up, there was no more. Because Qin Shujian did not deduce this cultivation scripture, he just wrote it down from memory. The reason why he did this was because he thought that since the sect was established, the cultivation scripture must be indispensable. And also to deal with the players. The body-forging scripture and other cultivation scripture had been integrated, but it did not mean that it had completely disappeared. The necessary memories were still retained in Qin Shujian's mind. A lot of words came down. In the blink of an eye, a few hours had passed. Looking at the stack of paper on the table, Qin Shujian turned his wrist and picked up a new piece of rice paper. When he was about to write, he suddenly paused. He had finished writing down the cultivation scripture. What was left was the martial arts. Compared to the variety of cultivation scriptures, the number of martial arts he had could only be said to be average. These martial arts. Most of the previous martial arts hall had imparted them. Only the Black Tiger Saber technique was Qin Shujian's unique move. This saber technique was already at the Dao-reaching level. It had already transcended the boundaries of the original martial arts. It was no longer limited to one move and one style, and had reached an unprecedented level. Because there were no changes in the moves, he could not write it down. After a pause, Qin Shujian's brush suddenly gave birth to a sense of sharpness. Then it fell on the white rice paper. The brush landed. The rice paper was broken. Even the writing brush in his hand suddenly broke in the middle. When a martial arts is cultivated to the Dao-reaching level, it has reached an extraordinary level. A piece of ordinary rice paper can't bear this saber intent. Qin Shujian understood in his heart. After looking at the broken rice paper and the destroyed writing brush, he gave up writing down the Black Tiger Saber technique. This martial arts was already at the Dao-reaching level. It seemed that he could only leave a legacy in other ways. After that, Qin Shujian directly called Zhang Tiniyu and Wang Taizhu in. Sect Master. Sect Master. The two were now experts at LV1 of the genuine martial realm, but they were still respectful to Qin Shujian as usual. Qin Shujian also looked at the two's attributes. As expected, the two of them were the same as Lu Er. Their loyalty was at 100 points. The two of you are now at LV1 of the genuine martial realm, but your cultivation methods are still at the basic martial realm. Now I'll pass on some cultivation methods of the genuine martial realm to you. Zhang Tiniyu was overjoyed and hurriedly thanked. Thank you, Sect Master. No one didn't want to improve their strength. He was no exception. Now the cultivation methods he practiced didn't even correspond to all the 10 levels of the martial realm. He only got the first 9 levels of the body-forging scripture. The reason why he could become an expert of the genuine martial realm was that the sect was promoted. If there was no follow-up cultivation method, or continue to wait for the sect to be promoted, or stay at LV1 of the genuine martial realm for the rest of his life, Wang Taizhu was just as excited as he was. Qin Shujian said in a low voice, "Listen carefully." Hearing that, both of them wore solemn expressions. Then, Qin Shujian explained the first 12 levels of the Yuan dictionary to the two one by one. Another few hours passed after this round of explanation. When the two had completely memorized it, the sky was already dark. Have you memorized it? Thank you, Sect Master. We have memorized it. Good. Qin Shujian nodded slightly. His explanation this time was not as simple as simply imparting cultivation methods. He also imparted his understanding of the Yuan dictionary. In this way, it would be of great help to the two when they change to cultivate the Yuan dictionary later. Chapter 127. After imparting the origin canon, Qin Shujian's expression turned solemn as he said in a low voice, "The origin canon is the foundation of the origin sect. Impart this cultivation technique to the brothers of the Loyalty Hall and the Intelligence Hall. Without my permission, do not spread this to anyone for the time being." The origin canon had not been officially circulated yet. If other people knew about this, it would inevitably cause unnecessary fluctuations in people's hearts. Seeing how solemn Qin Shujian was, Tianyu and Tianyu both nodded. Zhang Tiniyu and Wang Taizhu also said seriously, "Sect Master, don't worry. We know what to do. Go." Qin Shujian gestured for the two of them to leave. The people of the Intelligence Hall and the Loyalty Hall were the original bandits of the Cold Mountain Gang. They were also his true foundation. However, after so many battles and killings, these people had also lost a lot of their strength. They could be revived if they died at the hands of players. However, if they died at the hands of NPCs, they would really die. The original 70-man bandit group. Now, there were only about 50 people left. Now, Qin Shujian planned to nurture the remaining people into the backbone of the origin sect, a hidden force that no one could see through. It was not that he did not trust Zheng Fong and the others. It was because he had to be prepared for everything. Qin Shujian knew very well that all eggs should not be placed in the same basket. While the origin sect was steadily advancing, news about the sect was also fermenting among the players. The cause? A player had spread news on the forum that the origin sect would open its doors in half a month and recruit disciples. This news, it had caused a lot of commotion. Ever since the beginner village of the Cold Mountain True Dominion had activated the sect mode, the players of the other beginner villages of the Ordinary Dominion had followed suit and wanted to leave the Ordinary Dominion and head to the True Dominion sect. Indeed, it was as they had guessed. Every player who had left the Ordinary Dominion had received news about the sect mode. However, the activation of the sect mode was one thing. However, joining a sect was another matter altogether. No one knew how many players had left the Ordinary Dominion. However, given the large number of players, the number of people who had left would definitely not be low. Under this premise, not a single person had successfully joined a sect. The difficulty of joining a sect was far beyond the player's imagination. Either they were too old, either that or his aptitude was not good enough. Otherwise, they would simply seal their doors and forbid anyone from entering. Therefore, when someone spread the news that Yuan sect was going to open their doors and recruit disciples, it naturally attracted the attention of the other players, although he didn't know if the news was true or not. However, once the news spread, a few players from the Ordinary Realm near the True Liang Mountain Dominion rushed to the True Liang Mountain Dominion. They started to think of ways to enter the True Liang Mountain Dominion. As for the local players of the Liang Mountain True Dominion, it was needless to say. The Ordinary Realm could only be considered a beginner's village. The True Dominion was the player's true stage. If one wanted to obtain the cultivation technique for the subsequent stages of the basic martial realm and break through to the true martial realm, there was a high chance that one would have to rely on the sect. Half a month. It passed in the blink of an eye. Now, Mount Liang had completely changed. Although it wasn't a bejeweled palace, it was definitely 10 times, or even 100 times better than when he was in Liangshan Stockade. The houses and palaces were arranged in an orderly manner. The wide platform on the mountainside had been built into a training ground. In addition, the mountain path from the foot of the mountain was paved with blue stone to form a staircase. In a magnificent palace, the words "Inherited Martial Arts" were written on a horizontal board. When Qin Shujian had written these words personally, he had used the 1,000 Mountain Blood, an inferior-grade spirit weapon, and his saber intent. The two words had been written. Anyone who dared to look directly at the words "Inherited Martial Arts" would feel the sharp saber intent within them. This was the Yuan sect's main palace. Naturally, they couldn't be careless. In the Inherited Martial Arts Hall, Qin Shujian was sitting in the main seat. Zheng Fong and the others were sitting on his left and right. Even Gu Feng was among them. "Sect Master Qin, I have not let you down this time. Are you satisfied?" Gu Feng smiled faintly as he cupped his hands. "Of course, I am satisfied. However, I have to thank you for troubling you for so long, Brother Gu." As he spoke, Qin Shujian's smile became more obvious. The Chung Yuan Trading Company has helped the Yuan sect a lot. If there are any problems in the future, as long as it is within my capabilities, I will definitely not decline. With Sect Master Qin's words, this trip has not been in vain. Gu Feng was overjoyed. He had helped the Yuan sect so much. This was what he had been waiting for. Even though Qin Shujian's words were ambiguous, it was enough. Although Gu Feng was the manager of the Chung Yuan Trading Company, he was only the manager of a branch in a remote place. His position in the company was not considered high. Or else, he would not have been sent to a place like the ordinary realm. If he could be on good terms with a protectorate lord, it would be a great thing for him. He might even be able to do it indirectly. He would have a higher position in the Chung Yuan Trading Company. This was also why he had spared no effort in helping Qin Shujian, a protectorate lord. Even if he was only a protectorate lord of the true dominion, he was someone who could not be ignored. After expressing his gratitude, Gu Feng asked, "Now that the Yuan sect has been built, I wonder when Sect Master Qin plans to invite guests from all over to celebrate the establishment of the Yuan sect?" Invite guests from all over? Qin Shujian did not understand. Gu Feng said, "Sect Master Qin, you may not know this, but the establishment of any sect is not a small matter. Inviting guests from all over is naturally something we should do. Furthermore, Sect Master Qin is a protectorate lord. I'm afraid that since the establishment of the Yuan sect, many people from all over have been eyeing this place, waiting for the Yuan sect to invite them to the banquet." Upon hearing this, only then did Qin Shujian realize that he seemed to have underestimated the effect of establishing a sect, inviting guests from all over. If Gu Feng had not mentioned it, he would not have thought about it. At this moment, Zheng Feng also said, "Manager Gu's words make sense. The Yuan sect is now the #1 sect in the Liang Mountain True Dominion. Naturally, this is what we should do." "That's right." Zhang Hong nodded in agreement. Immediately, Gu Feng stood up and said, "I'll take my leave now. If Sect Master Qin needs anything, you can send someone to the Chung Yuan Trading Company branch in Nine Mountain City to look for me." "All right." Upon hearing this, Qin Shujian did not urge him to stay. After all, Gu Feng had stayed here for more than half a month. Now that the matter was settled, it was natural for him to return. Subsequently, Qin Shujian stood up and sent him off. This time, the hundreds of craftsmen that Gu Feng had brought with him were also following him. However, the difference was that most of the construction materials they had brought along had been used up. The remaining materials were left in the Yuan sect. When Gu Feng and the others went down the mountain, they realized there were many mutants along the way. Some were in groups of 3 to 5. Or perhaps he was alone. These mutants were all stationed around Liang Mountain. This made Gu Feng confused. As for the mutants, he was not unfamiliar with them. Now that the mutants had descended from the sky, there were mutants in all the ordinary realms. There were even many in Nine Mountain City where he was. However, the mutants would not rise early if there were no benefits. For them to gather here like this, it was obvious that they were plotting something. Instinctively, Gu Feng wanted to turn back and tell the people of the Yuan sect. But as soon as this thought appeared in his mind, he immediately dismissed it. This place was right under the nose of the Yuan sect. It was impossible for the people of the Yuan sect to not discover the existence of these mutants. Since the other party did not care, if he interfered too much, it would annoy them. Thinking of this, Gu Feng immediately left with his people. Someone is going down the mountain. Are the people of the Yuan sect preparing to open the mountain gate? Gu Feng and the others going down the mountain attracted the attention of the players. Ever since the news of the Yuan sect opening the mountain gate spread, a large number of players had rushed into the Liang Mountain True Dominion. In order to be able to join the Yuan sect as soon as possible, they decided to stay near Liang Mountain. As for being desolate and uninhabited, that was not a problem for the players at all. It was normal for them to be treated like a god. The main thing was, they still had to think of a way to join the sect. If they succeeded, they might be able to be a big step ahead of the other players. In the future, money would naturally come rolling in. As for why the players did not go up the mountain, they only waited in the surroundings. Looking at the few disciples of Yuan's sect who were guarding the mountain gate, it was clear as day. They were all in the 10th stage of the basic realm. They also had refined weapons and precious armors. They were definitely a boss model. Even at this stage, a boss in the 10th stage of the basic realm was still not easy to defeat for the players. Not to mention, the people of the Yuan sect guarding the mountain were obviously just ordinary disciples of the Yuan sect. Even if they could force their way up, if they angered the former Liang Mountain Fort chief, the current sect master of the Yuan sect, they would only end up being wiped out. A player near Nine Mountain City shook his head when he saw the empty carriages of Gu Feng's group. The carriages have the logo of the Carrier Trading Company. They should not be from the Yuan sect. I did not expect the Yuan sect to be related to the Carrier Trading Company. The Yuan sect is now the #1 power in the Liang Mountain True Dominion. It is normal for them to be related to the Carrier Trading Company. That is also, the group of players was discussing animatedly. If it was in the past, then some players who lacked experience might even try to kill them. But now, no one made a move. Since the Carrier Trading Company was related to the Yuan sect, if they attacked the Carrier Trading Company and angered the Yuan sect, their plans to join the Yuan sect would be in vain. Moreover, looking at the empty motorcade, Li Yundong said, obviously, there would not be any good items inside. The main thing was Gu Feng's group had hundreds of people. No one knew if there were any powerful experts inside. It would not be easy to deal with so many NPCs, seeing the people of the Carrier Trading Company leave. These players gradually retracted their gazes and continued to focus on joining the Yuan sect. On the other side, Qin Shujian and the others were also concerned about Gu Feng's suggestion. Inviting everyone to participate in the celebration was not a simple matter. Moreover, it also concerned the reputation of the Yuan sect. In the Chengwu Hall, Qin Shujian looked at the few people present and asked in a deep voice, "If we want to do this, when do you think is the best time?" Chapter 128. Everyone looked at each other. In the end, their gazes landed on Jingfeng. This old man, he was the second in command of the Origin sect. Not only did Qin Shujian think highly of him, but everyone else also approved of Jingfeng. Jingfeng stroked his short beard and pondered for a while before saying slowly, "In my opinion, 5 days from now is an auspicious day. We can hold a banquet on that day." 5 days. It was neither long nor short. Qin Shujian nodded silently before saying, "There are 4 true provinces adjacent to the Liang Mountain True Dominion. They are the Blue Stream True Dominion, the Spirit Consonants True Dominion, the Sunhua True Dominion, and the Mystic Void True Dominion. Since the Origin sect wants to hold a banquet, it will definitely be held by the sects of these 4 True Dominion. Given the speed of a true martial realm cultivator, it would take about 2 to 4 days to travel to and from a True Dominion. 5 days is just right." He had a map. He also had some understanding of the boundaries of the Great Zhao Nation. The boundaries of the Liang Mountain True Dominion, which used to be the Star Brilliance Ordinary Dominion, had attracted a lot of attention. The Liang Mountain True Dominion was considered to be at the edge of the Great Zhao Nation. There were many Ordinary Dominion and True Dominion around it. The Blue Stream True Dominion, the Spirit Consonants True Dominion, the Sunhua True Dominion, and the Mystic Void True Dominion. They were the 4 True Dominion near the Liang Mountain True Dominion. They occupied a vast territory that the current Liang Mountain True Dominion couldn't compare to. Also, Qin Shujian's tone suddenly became more serious. Now that the Origin sect has been established, there should be some changes to the structure of the Liang Mountain stronghold. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone present, including Jingfeng, looked solemn. Everyone's expression was calm, but no one knew what they were thinking. "Jingfeng, I'm here." Jingfeng stood up solemnly and cupped his fists. "You are the martial arts hall master of the Liang Mountain stronghold. You have contributed greatly to the Liang Mountain stronghold and the Origin sect. Now, you will be the Origin sect's cultivation imparting Grand Elder." Qin Shujian said. As soon as he said this, everyone's heart skipped a beat, even if he had already expected it. However, when Qin Shujian really gave such an important position to Jingfeng, some people still had mixed feelings. Jingfeng was also agitated. He cupped his hands and said, "This old man will not disappoint sect master's great expectations." After that, the aura on his body suddenly rose by a notch. In a short period of time, his aura skyrocketed and filled the entire martial inheritance hall. It was a sudden change. This caused the others to be even more shocked and puzzled. Even Qin Shujian couldn't help but glance at him with his spirit eye. Name: Zheng Fang. Title: Nun. Status: Great Elder of Technique imparting affiliation. Yuan Sect. Faction Level: Level 2 Realm, Level 4 of the True Martial Realm, within the range of Yuan Zong, Realm +2, Cultivation Method. 8th Layer of Body Forging Scripture, Perfection of Eternal Spring Gong Martial Arts. 5 Elements, 8 Trigram Steps, Perfection, 100 Saber Technique, Perfection, Loyalty. 98. Seeing this, he couldn't help but feel surprised. When he was in Liangshan Village, as the Hall Master of the Martial Arts Practice Hall, he didn't get the power bonus of Liangshan Village. Now that he had become the Great Elder of Techniques imparting in Yuan Sect, it was different. Realm +2. This also showed that Zheng Fang was a proper expert of Level 4 of the True Martial Realm in Yuan Sect. As for his loyalty, when he got the Spirit Eye, Qin Shujian also looked at him once. At that time, his loyalty was only 90, but now it had reached 98, which was close to the maximum. Obviously, because of this decision, he was even more determined. Zheng Fang himself didn't expect this to happen. Soon, the overflowing aura on his body gradually converged. He also sat back in his original position. At this time, the rest of the people all looked at Qin Shujian. Zheng Fang's change obviously came from the position of the Great Elder of Techniques imparting, especially Su Yuanming, Niu Feng, and the others. They used to be the masters of a faction, so they were very clear about the power bonus. But they didn't expect this. Other than being the master of a faction, other people could also receive power bonus from other positions in the sect. Zhang Tiniu. Yes, you are the law-enforcing elder of Yuan Sect. You have the same status as the Great Elder of Techniques imparting. Thank you, Sect Master. Zhang Tiniu responded respectfully. His aura also surged. Qin Shujian glanced at him. Just like Zheng Fang, his Realm +2 made him an expert of Level 3 of the True Martial Realm. Immediately, Qin Shujian looked to the other side and said in a deep voice, Niu Feng. Yes. Niu Feng suppressed the excitement in his heart and stood up from his seat. Qin Shujian said, You are the Guarding Elder. You have the same status as the Great Elder of Techniques imparting and the Law-enforcing Elders. Thank you, Sect Master. Niu Feng's face lit up with joy. After he agreed, his realm rose to Level 3 of the True Martial Realm like the other two. Zheng Hong, Su Yuanming, Wang Taizhu, Fu Gang, Chao Sheng, Li Zhongyi, Qiu Ping. Yes. Hearing this, the 7 of them stood up. Qin Shujian said, The 7 of you are the elders of Yuan Zong. You are only below the Sect Master and the Great Elder of Techniques imparting, law-enforcing, and guarding elders. Thank you, Sect Master. As the 7 of them responded in unison, their auras fluctuated. Qin Shujian glanced at them. Unlike Niu Feng and the other two, although these people also received a bonus, it was only the cultivation level +1. So they only rose to pseudo-true martial stage 2. Those who could sit in Qingwu Hall. They were all experts of the true martial realm. Apart from Zheng Fang and the others who were already in the upper echelons, Fu Gang, Chao Sheng, Li Zhongyi, and Qiu Ping were all rising stars. They were all experts of level 8 of the martial realm. After Yuan Zong's promotion, these people also broke through to the true martial realm. True martial realm. To the current Yuan Zong, this was not a small matter at all. After conferring titles to all the true martial realm experts, Qin Shujian looked at the attributes of everyone present and had a plan in mind. There were more than 10 people in the hall. Zhang Tiniu and Wang Taizhu had the highest loyalty, at 100 points. Next was Zheng Fang. Niu Feng was right behind him. The few people after him had similar loyalty, but without exception, they were all above 85 points, almost to the point of absolute loyalty. Because of this, Qin Shujian conferred the title of Elder to them. Or else, if their loyalty was too low, not to mention giving them the position of Elder, he would have already given them face by not killing them immediately. After everyone had calmed down, Yizichen calmed down. Qin Shujian looked around and continued, Yuan Zong will set up the book collection pavilion. I will store everyone's cultivation methods and martial arts inside. The book collection pavilion has 5 floors, and the elder can enter the top 4. Wang Taizhu will be in charge of the book collection pavilion to guard against thieves. The book collection pavilion. Many people's expressions changed slightly. They weren't stupid and knew what this place meant. This was where Yuan Zong's lifeline was. After all, it was the inheritance of a sect. Cultivation methods and martial arts were the most important things. Although Wang Taizhu was only an ordinary elder, if he was in charge of the book collection pavilion, his position wouldn't be worse than the 3 elders. Inside the hall, only Zheng Fong, Zhang Tiniu, Fu Gang, and Li Zhongyi's expressions didn't change. Wang Taizhu got up and sat down again after receiving the order. Qin Shujian continued, with Liang Mountain as the center. The area around Liang Mountain and the stone forest will belong to Yuan Zong. Any elder can go to any mountain as their residence. However, no more than 2 elders can go to any mountain. If any elders want to stay in Liang Mountain, that's not a problem. While speaking, he paused for a moment. Then he continued, after the mountain gate opens, each elder can take in 3 true disciples, 20 personal disciples, and 100 registered disciples. Under the elders, there will be internal and external deacons. Internal deacons will be conferred by the 3 elders. External deacons will be conferred by the other elders. Internal deacons can enter the 3rd floor of the book collection pavilion. External deacons can enter the 2nd floor of the book collection pavilion. After the mountain gate opens, disciples will be recruited. Those who enter will be outer disciples. Those who have excellent qualifications and support the sect will be inner disciples. Above them will be the elite, personal disciples, and true disciples. Outer disciples need to provide the sect at a fixed time every month. Inner disciples don't need to provide, but they need to complete the sect's tasks at a fixed time. Elite and personal disciples are the same. True disciples are mainly nurtured and are free from worldly affairs. Personal disciples are the same as external deacons. True disciples are the same as internal deacons. They are qualified to enter the 2nd and 3rd floors of the book collection pavilion. Elders can enter the book collection pavilion 3 times a month. The rest can enter once a month. The time limit is 4 hours. Qin Shujian's voice wasn't loud, but it echoed in the martial arts hall. It even echoed in Yuan Zong through the martial arts hall. At this moment, all the disciples of Yuan Zong stopped what they were doing and thought carefully about the words that floated in. In the martial arts hall, after Qin Shujian finished speaking, he looked at the rest of the people present. Elders, do you have any objections? We have no objections. That's good. Qin Shujian's solemn face had a gentle smile on it. As for this, he had already planned it out in his heart. He just wanted to take advantage of the current situation to pass it down and set a framework first. When there were problems in the future, he would improve it step by step. Currently, Yuan Zong's 3rd stage basic martial arts and above are inner sect disciples. Those who are 6th stage basic martial arts and above are elite disciples. Those who are 10th stage basic martial arts and above are inner sect deacons. Qin Shujian looked at everyone deeply when he mentioned inner sect deacons. We understand. Good. Qin Shujian nodded his head in satisfaction. Then, he said, there should be many sects in the Square True Dominion. I'll have to trouble all the elders to make a trip down this time. Also, elder imparting technique, please handle the matters of the celebration in 5 days. The map only marked the True Dominion and didn't specify which sect it was. He had also forgotten to ask Gu Feng. Now that the other party had left, it wasn't realistic to find them again. After all, it was impossible for a sect to not have any reputation. As long as he casually inquired, it would be easy to find out. Upon hearing this, Zheng Feng and the other elders didn't refuse. 5 days wasn't a long time. These true martial realm elders didn't waste too much time. They simply divided the matters of the 4 True Dominion and set off for Mount Liang. Zheng Feng stayed behind, and Wang Taizhu stayed behind to oversee the martial arts hall. The other 8 elders all left the mountain. On the other side, Qin Shujian also left the martial arts hall. He looked at this building that looked like a tall tower. The words Martial Arts Hall were written on a horizontal board. He walked straight in. Chapter 129. There were 5 floors in the library. Qin Shujian was the first to arrive at the first floor. It could accommodate 100 people without feeling crowded. The only regret was, the bookshelves on the first floor were all empty. There were no cultivation techniques or martial arts manuals on them. It looked a little desolate. Qin Shujian took out a few cultivation techniques and martial arts manuals that he had personally written and placed them on the bookshelves one by one. However, the difference was, this time, the body tempering technique and other cultivation techniques only had the first 7 levels. Looking at the empty bookshelves, Qin Shujian shook his head and muttered to himself, "Sooner or later, I will fill this place up and make it the sacred ground of the entire Sky Origin sect." After inexplicably setting up a flag, Zhang Ziyan suddenly said, he continued to walk to the second floor. The sound of the wooden staircase echoed in the empty library. The second floor was similar to the first floor. The same bookshelves. The same emptiness. There was no difference, except that the area was slightly smaller than the first floor. This time, Qin Shujian took out a cultivation technique and placed it on one of the bookshelves. It was the same cultivation technique. The difference was that these cultivation techniques were all complete and could be cultivated directly to the 10th stage of the basic martial arts realm. On the third floor, Qin Shujian left the origin code, which had been deduced to the 3rd level of the true martial section. As for the 4th and 5th floors, however, it was completely empty. There was nothing placed there at all. After walking through the library once, Qin Shujian left immediately. He had come here this time to add some cultivation techniques and martial arts manuals to this spotless library so that it would not be too awkward. However, after leaving the library, Qin Shujian had already made a decision. It seems that the cultivation techniques and martial arts manuals in the library can only be cultivated by oneself in the future. Anyone who spreads them privately will be crippled of their cultivation level and expelled from the sect. In the worst case, they will be killed. In the 3,600 cities of the Baiyun Prefecture, apart from the vast territory, it was also divided into the True Dominion and Ordinary Dominion. The old True Dominion had assimilated countless Ordinary Dominion. Fu Gang walked on the ancient path. The strength of the true martial realm allowed him to cover a distance of several feet with each step. His speed was far faster than an ordinary horse. So this is the region outside the true dominion of Mount Liang. It is indeed different. More than half a day had passed since they left the true dominion of Mount Liang. As a bandit who had always stayed in Mount Liang and was now an elder of the Origin sect, he had not even been to the true dominion of Mount Liang much, let alone the outer regions. Therefore, this time, Fu Gang was rather excited about being ordered to head to the Blue River True Dominion. Another 2 hours passed. A city could be seen in the distance. The city wall was no more than 10 meters high and was made of green bricks. There were pedestrians going in and out of the city gate, and there were also guards standing guard. "Sir, do you have a guide?" When Fu Gang reached the city gate, an armored soldier blocked his path. A warrior of the true martial realm. Even if one's clothes were ordinary, it would still be difficult to display one's temperament, not to mention that Fu Gang was wearing a 9th-grade green armor and a white-bladed saber at his waist. With the eyesight of the soldiers, they could tell at a glance that he was not a simple person, so they were quite polite when they stopped him. Fu Gang paused. "I don't have a guide. According to the rules, if you don't have a pass, you'll have to pay 3 copper coins to enter the city. Take it." Fu Gang did not mind. He took out 3 copper coins and handed them to the soldier. After receiving the money, the soldier immediately stepped aside. "Wait." Fu Gang suddenly stopped him. The soldier was startled and immediately smiled. "Sir, what's the matter?" Could it be that he was unhappy about taking 3 copper coins to enter the city? He could tell at a glance that the other party had a cultivation level. What if he was unhappy and wanted to cause trouble? The unlucky one would be the soldier. Just as the soldier was considering whether to return the 3 copper coins, Fu Gang, who did not know that the soldier had been thinking for so long, immediately asked, "Do you know how many sects are there in the Blue River True Dominion?" Sects? The soldier was stunned and could not react in time. When he saw that Fu Gang was a little unhappy, he immediately came back to his senses and hesitated before saying, "There are 3 sects in the Blue River True Dominion." "Which 3? "The Blue Cloud Sect, the Gold Sun Sect, and the Water Moon Sect. Which of the 3 sects is more powerful?" The soldier was in a difficult position and did not know how to answer. No matter which sect it was, a small soldier like him could not afford to offend them. If he casually commented, once it reached the ears of the other sects, he would definitely be finished. However, if he did not say, the person in front of him was just standing there and gave him a lot of pressure. Obviously, he was not an easy person to deal with. Seeing that the soldier was in a difficult position, Fu Gang did not bother to ask and changed the topic. "Which of the 3 sects is closer to here?" "The Blue Cloud Sect." "How do I get to the Blue Cloud Sect?" "Go east," the soldier explained in detail while Fu Gang stood at the side and silently noted it down. After the soldier finished speaking, he took out a string of copper coins from his arms and threw it over. "This is your reward." Thank you. The soldier hurriedly received it with a smile on his face. There were dozens of copper coins in this string, which was equivalent to his reward for 10 days of hard work. After he put away the copper coins, he looked at Fu Gang again and found that he had already disappeared. On the other side, after finding out the direction of the Blue Cloud Sect, Fu Gang did not head there immediately. Instead, he entered the city, found a restaurant, sat down, and ordered a table full of dishes. It was not easy for him to come out. It would be too boring if he only went back and forth to pass messages. He listened to the conversations of others and occasionally heard some stories and rumors while he tasted the food and wine in his mouth. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Fu Gang stood up and walked one round in the city. When he took another look, it was already evening. He calculated the time and found an inn to stay in. At dawn the next day, he headed straight to the Blue Cloud Sect. This time, he had come to the Blue River True Dominion. Besides Fu Gang, there was also Su Yuanming. However, after the two of them entered the Blue River True Dominion, they went their separate ways to find out where the sects in the True Dominion were and invite them. How was Su Yuanming doing? Fu Gang was not sure. However, as he looked at the mountain peak not far away, which was already towering into the clouds, a smile appeared on his face. According to the soldier's words, this should be where the Blue Cloud Sect was. As he walked into the mountain peak, Fu Gang could feel the majesty within. There was no reason for it. He compared it to Liang Mountain. In the end, he came to the conclusion that there was not much difference. When he reached the foot of the mountain peak, Fu Gang did not immediately go up the mountain. Instead, he raised the quintessential essence in his dantian and shouted, "Sky Origin Sect, Fu Gang has been ordered to come here and invite everyone from the Blue Cloud Sect to come out and meet me." His voice was under the effect of the quintessential essence. Instantly, it spread like a wave. In an instant, it startled the birds and seemed to be able to disperse the clouds above. In the Blue Cloud Sect, immediately, it caused a big commotion. Who is it? Sky Origin Sect? Which Sky Origin Sect? The disciples of the Blue Cloud Sect all looked at each other. This voice spread across the entire mountain peak, not to mention anything else. Just the strength of the person who shouted was enough to make people treat him with caution. True martial realm. Only a warrior of the true martial realm could exert such power. Boom, boom. Two powerful forces exploded in the Blue Cloud Sect. Then, two old Taoists who were more than 50 years old stepped out of the air and headed straight down the mountain. It's the elders. Below the Blue Cloud Sect. After Fu Gang finished shouting, he stood there motionless. In his perception, two powerful auras were approaching at a fast speed. These two auras, in the Sky Origin Sect, except for Qin Shujian, there was almost no one who could compare with them. Gradually, Fu Gang's expression became solemn. Soon, the two old Taoists appeared in front of Fu Gang. Who are you? Why have you come to the Blue Cloud Sect? Fu Gang cupped his hands and said, I'm Fu Gang from the Sky Origin Sect. How should I address you? I'm Qing Shui, elder of the Blue Cloud Sect. I'm Qing Miao, elder of the Blue Cloud Sect. I'm Fu Gang, elder of the Sky Origin Sect. Nice to meet you. Fu Gang introduced seriously. The two old Taoists in front of him were a great threat to him. Originally, he had broken through to the true martial realm, but now he had restrained a lot. The situation was stronger than him. Fu Gang did not intend to be enemies with the Blue Cloud sect. It was better to talk nicely. If they wanted to hit him, he might not be able to escape. Qing Miao remained calm and said while stroking his beard, "I haven't asked where your sect is located." Liang Mountain True Dominion. Liang Mountain True Dominion. Qing Miao and Qing Shui's pupils shrank. Their hands that were stroking their beards suddenly stopped, as if they had heard some shocking news. In an instant, the two men's expressions instantly became even more amiable. Qing Miao cupped his hands and said with a smile, "So your sect is from the Liang Mountain True Dominion. I wonder what's the relationship between the new dominion and your sect?" "This is the sect master of the Sky Origin sect." "Haha, so it's the sect master of the Sky Origin sect? I've been rude." Qing Miao's smile widened. Qing Shui asked at the right time, "Elder Fu, may I know why you're here today?" "The Sky Origin sect will hold a grand ceremony 4 days later at noon. I hope everyone from the Blue Cloud sect will be able to attend." Sure. The Blue Cloud sect will definitely be there on time. We await your arrival. Elder Fu, why don't you follow us up? The Blue Cloud sect has already prepared tea, Qing Miao said warmly. Fu Gang waved his hand and said, "I have to rush to the next place. I won't disturb you." "In that case, see you in the Sky Origin sect." Qing Miao was not discouraged, the faint smile on his old face. Subsequently, Fu Gang asked about the whereabouts of the Water Moon sect and the Golden Sun sect before he bade them farewell. On the spot, Qing Shui's and Qing Miao's smiles gradually faded. They looked at Fu Gang's back as he left, thinking about something. "Senior brother, what do you think? The Liang Mountain Protectorate Lord has established the Sky Origin sect. This will definitely have a huge impact on the other True Dominion. We'll decide what to do after we return and report this to the sect master. All right." Chapter 130. In the Blue Cloud Sect. Sect Master Qing Su listened to their report, and a faint smile appeared on his youthful face. "I knew that things would not be simple when the Territorial Lord was born. A Territorial Lord, even a newly promoted one, is enough to intimidate everyone." Regarding the strength of a Territorial Lord, Qing Su was confident that no one in the Blue River True Dominion understood it better than him. Because the Blue Cloud Sect. It was originally founded by the Territorial Lord of the Blue River True Dominion. It could be said that the Blue Cloud sect was the orthodox sect of the Blue River True Dominion. It's a pity that since the Territorial Lord passed away, the Blue Cloud sect has been declining generation after generation. Until now, the Blue River True Dominion has actually become a tripartite balance of power. We have really let down the ancestral master's expectations. Qing Su shook his head and sighed. On the other hand, Qing Miao and Qing Shui looked down and listened attentively. Obviously, they were already used to Qing Su's behavior. If not for the fact that he was the sect master and had the biggest fist, they would have turned around and left long ago. How could he be like now, listening to these complaints that could already give birth to calluses? On the other side, Fu Gang had already gone to the next sect. The matter of the Blue Cloud sect went so smoothly that it was hard for him to imagine. It was not that he could not read people's expressions. When Qing Miao and Qing Shui heard that the Liang Mountain Territorial Lord was the sect master of the Yuan sect, the change in their expressions did not escape his eyes. Fu Gang already had some ideas in his mind. Probably, he understood what kind of position his sect master had in the hearts of these sects. Next, Fu Gang went to the Gold Sun sect. The attitude of this sect was similar to that of the Blue Cloud sect at first. Although they were not rude to him because he was a real martial realm expert, they were not overly enthusiastic. However, after knowing about the existence of Qin Shu Jian, their attitude changed immediately. They did not reject the invitation to the banquet. However, when he went to the Water Moon sect, he found that Su Yuanming had already invited him, so he could only give up. Therefore, it only took Fu Gang 3 days to return to Liang Mountain. When he returned, he found that a few elders had already returned before him. Sect Master, the 3 sects of the Blue River True Dominion have already agreed to attend the banquet. Fu Gang and Su Yuanming exchanged a glance before Su Yuanming reported. Zhang Hong added, the 2 sects of the Lingxi True Domain have also been notified. The 3 sects of the Sun Hua True Dominion have already accepted the invitation. Zhang Tiniu replied, very good. Qin Shujian nodded and said with a faint smile, thank you for your hard work, elders. Go and rest for a while. We'll take our leave. Yes. Qin Shujian also stood up and walked out of the inherited martial hall. Out of the 4 true provinces, 3 of them had already given an accurate answer. Only the Mystic Void True Province had yet to reply. However, he wasn't in a hurry. The Mystic Void True Dominion was the furthest away from the Liang Mountain True Dominion. It would take a certain amount of time to go back and forth, which was understandable. After walking out of the Chengwu Hall, at this moment, the entire Yuan sect was decorated with lanterns and streamers. All the inner disciples and newly promoted deacons were busy preparing for the celebration banquet. Almost everyone knew. The people who had been invited this time were all top figures of the sections. If one were to talk about sects, perhaps not everyone could understand the concept of a sect. After all, although the Yuan sect was also a sect, in the Liang Mountain True Dominion, their power was the same as whether they had established a sect or not. However, those who had spoken were all experts of the true martial realm. That was completely different. What was the true martial realm? In the Yuan sect, they were all elders and were considered the top experts of the Liang Mountain True Dominion. However, some people were happy, while others were sad. The Yuan sect was preparing for the celebration banquet. In the end, the players who were waiting around Liang Mountain had to suffer. F***CK. Which bastard said that the Yuan sect would recruit disciples in half a month? Half a month has passed. Why hasn't there been any news at all? Wang Zhi's face had turned green. Ever since he had seen the news on the forum, he immediately left the novice village, crossed 2 ordinary realms, and finally arrived at Mount Liang after going through untold hardships. After that, he had been waiting here for the day when the Yuan sect would recruit disciples. However, those who had never survived in the wild would never know what kind of pain it was. Originally, Wang Zhi had been clenching his teeth and enduring. However, as time passed, the Yuan sect had not opened their doors yet, and his mentality had gradually exploded. Until now, Wang Zhi felt that he was no longer human. The matter of joining the Yuan sect had become an obsession. Apart from that, what he wanted to do the most now, he wanted to take out the person who had spread the news and have a good chat with him about life and dreams. He had such thoughts. Wang Zhi was not the only one. If it wasn't for the martial realm 10th stage boss patrolling the mountain pass, they would have rushed up the mountain long ago. In another place, Lu Dazhong and the other 3 were also waiting there. However, compared to before, they looked a little miserable now. That NPC couldn't have tricked me, right? Lu Dazhong plucked the leaves from his hair and said speechlessly, how long has it been? Why haven't we seen the Yuan sect open their doors yet? Miao Yuqing's expression was also ugly. Her usually delicate face was now a little dim. Hearing this, she said in annoyance, why don't you go ask and see if that NPC tricked you? Don't. A few days ago, there were players who couldn't take it and wanted to go up. In the end, you saw it. Before they could even say anything, they were sent back. Lu Dazhong shook his head. A 10th stage martial realm boss. He couldn't afford to offend it. Subsequently, he thought about it and said, logically speaking, it shouldn't be fake. Do you think this is a test to join the sect? What do you think? One of the 4 asked back. Lu Dazhong's expression was a little awkward. He scratched his head and said, it should be. It didn't matter if it was or not. They couldn't give up halfway now. After spending so much time here, there were already 9th stage martial realm players. It probably wouldn't be long before someone reached 10th stage martial realm. However, they had wasted their time here, and were still at 6th stage martial realm. The gap between the 2 sides had quietly opened up. If they couldn't join the sect this time, this loss would be irreparable. Therefore, Lu Dazhong could only hope that he could smoothly join the Yuan sect. At that time, he might be able to rely on the advantage of the sect to close the gap. This might be the mentality of a gambler. However, there was no other way now. Otherwise, no one would be willing to turn around and leave after wasting so much time. The players who were still here, most of them, they all had this mentality. On the other side, Lu Er held his blade and led a few inner court disciples to the entrance of Liang Mountain. The number of players was increasing day by day. Because he had considered what Qin Shujian had said before, he didn't make a move to chase these people away before they acted rashly. However, when there were thousands of players, then he wouldn't be polite. There were so many people gathered. Who knew what these players wanted to do? Lu Er thought that as the Yuan sect's external deacon, he should consider the entire Yuan sect and not let go of any potential danger. Watch carefully. The sect's celebration is about to begin. If something happens now, even I will be skinned alive. Do you understand? Don't worry, Deacon Lu. We will be careful. A few inner court disciples behind him echoed in unison. Now that the Yuan sect had set the rules, Lu Er was an expert of the 10th stage of the basic martial realm. Naturally, his status rose sharply. The strongest inner court disciple wouldn't exceed the 6th stage of the basic martial realm. In front of a deacon, their status and strength were far inferior. Therefore, they didn't dare to have any thoughts of disobeying. Good. Lu Er nodded his head in satisfaction and continued to patrol the mountain. Actually, he was just patrolling the mountain. He only went back and forth to the entrance of the mountain. Apart from that, there were no other paths leading up Liang Mountain. Even if there were, there would still be people patrolling the mountain to prevent any problems. On the 4th day, Niu Feng and Chao Sheng rushed back from the Mystic Void True Dominion. The result was no surprise. Like the other 3 True Dominion, the sects of the Mystic Void True Dominion all agreed to the Yuan sect's invitation after hearing the name of the Liang Mountain Protectorate Lord. After all, when the Liang Mountain True Dominion was promoted, the Protectorate Lord was like a giant beast swallowing the spirit energy of heaven and earth like a whale. The more powerful a sect was, the more they understood the significance of a Protectorate Lord. Furthermore, it was just an invitation. There was no need to reject a Protectorate Lord. Therefore, as long as it wasn't an iron-headed sect, no one would reject such an invitation. How are the preparations going? Qin Shujian looked at the spacious platform, which was supposed to be the martial arts practice field. It had been decorated magnificently, and disciples of the Yuan sect could be seen walking back and forth. Beside him stood the current cultivation imparting Grand Elder, Zheng Feng. Basically, everything is ready. Tomorrow, we just have to wait for the guests to arrive. Then, we can proceed as promised. After this, I believe that the Yuan sect will be famous throughout the True Dominion. That's for sure. Sect Master, you are now the Protectorate Lord. With you leading the Yuan sect, your name will definitely spread far and wide. Zheng Feng said a few pleasing words without leaving any trace. Qin Shujian tilted his head to look at him and said with a smile, "Your words are becoming more and more pleasing to the ear." "I'm just stating a fact. There's nothing pleasing to the ear." Zheng Feng smiled faintly and said, "Sect Master, you may not know this, but the elders are heading to the other True Dominion this time. All the sects that have heard of the Sect Master's name will give you some face. The status of a Protectorate Lord is much more important than you and I think." As they spoke, he changed the topic and asked, "How do you plan to deal with the gathering of mutants at the foot of the mountain?" "Let's leave them hanging first. After this matter is over, we'll see how many people are left. Then, we'll select some of them and bring them into the sect. This will be considered as adding some new blood. Mutants are rebellious. Sect Master, if you want to use them, I'm afraid you have to be more careful." "Rest assured, cultivation imparting elder. I'm naturally confident in doing so." Qin Shujian's smile was still on his face, but his eyes had turned cold. In his eyes, players were like hunting dogs. If you gave them more meat to eat, they would naturally be obedient. If they didn't mature then, they would be killed and eaten. Chapter 131. On Liang Mountain, it was a joyous occasion. The newly appointed deacons were already waiting at the foot of the mountain. In fact, there were also 2 true martial realm elders. Everyone knew that today was Yuanzong's big day. The people who came, they were all famous people in the True Dominion. Regardless of Yuanzong's strength, at the very least, they couldn't embarrass themselves on the surface. As for the players who had been waiting outside, they couldn't decide what to do when they saw Yuanzong's current situation. Were they going to open the mountain gate? Or were they going to do something else? No player dared to act rashly before they were sure of the situation. Because they would be rash. They had already been killed once. They had died once. They had dropped by 1 cultivation level. The later it was, the more painful it would be. In particular, there had only been a 10th stage martial realm boss guarding the mountain. Now, there were 6 or 7 of them. Just by standing there, they gave off a lot of pressure. "Should we go up?" asked one of the players in the team. Lu Dazhong shook his head cautiously and said, "No hurry. Let's wait for the others to go up first. The bird that pokes its head out gets shot." This was a painful lesson. Just as the players were hesitating, a voice rang out. The sound of galloping horses could be heard. They couldn't help but turn their heads and see a group of over 10 people on horseback. Who are they? They seemed to have a strong background. The group of people on horseback seemed to have the momentum of thousands of horses and thousands of soldiers. Many people were in awe. Under the gazes of the players, the group of people stopped at the foot of Liang Mountain. "I am Gu Feng of the Carrier Fortune Trading Company. I have accompanied Chief Manager Lin Wanyu here." Gu Feng stood beside a middle-aged man in embroidered clothes and cupped his hands toward Yuanzong and the others. When he said Lin Wanyu's name, he purposely emphasized his tone. Lu Er glanced at Lin Wanyu and was slightly shocked. However, he smiled politely and said, "Chief Manager Lin, Manager Gu, please come up the mountain." Meanwhile, Fu Gang and Xiao Ping, who were in charge, arrived together. "Chief Manager Lin, Manager Gu." Xiao Ping cupped his hands and greeted them. He was one of the people who had gone to the Chung Yuan Trading Company for the banquet, so he was no stranger to Lin Wanyu. Lin Wanyu, who had been standing there motionlessly, his right hand gently turning the jade ring on his left pinky finger. When he saw Xiao Ping appear, a faint smile appeared on his face. He cupped his hands and said, "Elder Xiao, it's been a few days since we last met. How are you?" When Lin Wanyu started, Gu Feng tactfully retreated to the side. It was true that he was a branch manager, but he was only a branch manager in the mortal realm. Lin Wanyu was standing in front of him. He was the general manager of the many branches in the True Dominion's 12 ordinary provinces. He was also a true martial realm expert. If it was any other time, Ancient Wind did not even have the chance to travel with him. It was now. The True Dominion of the Liang Mountain had suddenly been promoted. As the steward of this branch, Gu Feng had leaped from the mortal realm to the True Dominion steward. Coincidentally, he was also on good terms with the Origin sect, so Lin Wanyu saw him in a different light. Xiaoping also said enthusiastically, "I've been eagerly waiting for Chief Manager Lin. You're finally here today. How should I address you?" Lin Wanyu still had a smile on his face as he looked at Fu Gang and asked curiously. True Yuan surged within his opponent's body. Unsurprisingly, he had to be a true martial realm expert. Xiaoping said, "This is our sect's Elder Fu Gang." "Excuse me, Chief Manager Lin, Steward Gu, please." Fu Gang gestured with his hand. Lin Wanyu and Gu Feng cupped their fists in return. Then, Xiaoping walked in front of Lin Wanyu and brought the people of the Carrier Trading Company up the mountain. As for the horses, the Origin sect disciples would take care of them. Chief Manager Lin Wanyu and Steward Gu of the Carrier Trading Company have arrived. A loud shout echoed throughout the Origin sect. Soon, the arrival of Lin Wanyu and company was known by the people of the Origin sect. When Xiaoping brought them into the banquet hall, Zhang Fong had already appeared. "This is our sect's skill-imparting elder." Xiaoping introduced him at the right time. "I am Zhang Fong. Greetings, Chief Manager Lin." "Elder Zhang, you're too polite." Lin Wanyu's smiling face finally turned solemn as he cupped his hands and bowed in return. The two of them had only met once. A feeling arose in their hearts. This was an expert, and not as simple as a true martial realm expert. Although Zheng Fong's heart was heavy, he did not show it on his face. He said, "Everyone, please take your seats. The banquet will begin soon." Elders, please go ahead. I can take care of myself. Excuse me. Seeing this, Zheng Fang and Xiao Ping ordered their disciples to serve some tea before they went to take care of other matters. There was no other way. The Origin sect was short on manpower. There were only so many true martial realm elders. There was a shortage of them everywhere. Elder Qing Miao and Elder Qing Shui of the Emerald Cloud sect have arrived. Not long after the people of the Carrier Trading Company sat down, they heard the voices from the foot of the mountain. Lin Wanyu raised his eyebrows and said with a faint smile, I didn't expect Qing Su to send 2 elders over instead of Elder Qing Su. They are giving the Origin sect enough face. Gu Feng, who was sitting at the side, heard this and replied cautiously, the Origin sect is a force with a territorial lord. The Emerald Cloud sect's territorial lord has died and is now just an ordinary sect. Why would they give the Origin sect any face? You have done well in this matter. Lin Wanyu suddenly smiled again as he looked at Gu Feng. To be able to establish a connection with a territorial lord, not to mention the entire Carrier Trading Company, but to the branch, the benefits were indeed great. Gu Feng was overjoyed when he heard this, but he didn't show it on his face. He smiled faintly and said, everything is for the trading company. A third-class force with a territorial lord. From the moment I came here, I sensed no less than 10 true martial realm cultivators. In terms of strength, it is comparable to some of the older sections. Lin Wanyu picked up the teacup in front of him and took a sip before putting it back in its original position. In time, it may become a great sect. Chief Steward, you are right. As for the other people who came along, their status was not as high as Lin Wanyu and Gu Feng. They stood aside with their heads down. At the foot of the mountain, Qing Miao and Qing Shui had arrived. In addition to the 2 elders, there were a few Emerald Cloud sect disciples following them. This time, it was Fu Gang's turn to lead the Emerald Cloud sect disciples up. Along the way, the Emerald Cloud sect disciples looked left and right, carefully sizing up the scene in the Yuan sect. Qing Miao walked in the Yuan sect and said with emotion, the Yuan sect's heaven and earth spirit qi is really abundant. No wonder it has a territorial lord. This alone is not comparable to other sections. Hearing this, Qing Shui felt the same way. When the Emerald Cloud sect had a territorial lord, it was more or less like this. Unfortunately, the territorial lord had passed away. The Emerald Cloud sect had also lost its advantage. The heaven and earth spirit qi was lost bit by bit, causing it to be not much different from other sections. As for the Emerald Cloud sect disciples, they listened to the 2 elders' words and looked at the Yuan sect disciples with some shock in their eyes. From the moment they entered, among the Yuan sect disciples they met, there were many who made them feel strong qi and blood. There was a faint feeling of oppression. To be able to follow Qing Miao and Qing Shui here, these disciples were considered outstanding in the Emerald Cloud sect. Their strength was at least in the 8th or 9th level of the basic realm. In this case, they could still feel the pressure. That was probably only in the 10th level of the basic realm. As for the true martial realm, however, no one had such thoughts. Not to mention the Emerald Cloud sect disciples. Even Qing Miao and Qing Shui were quite shocked. They did not know that the Yuan sect was a 3rd-level force. So, when they saw so many disciples in the 9th or 10th level of the basic realm, they could barely keep calm. One had to know. If these people were trained well, they would almost become real martial realm experts in the future, even if 1 in 10 was born. This was also very terrifying. When they entered the venue, Qing Miao and Qing Shui also noticed the Chungyuan Trading Company. Chief Steward Lin, long time no see. Qing Miao greeted. Lin Wanyu was in the Xuanchu True Domain. Xuanchu True Domain was close to the Blue River True Domain, and the Emerald Cloud sect was quite powerful. Both sides had interacted before. Lin Wanyu also stood up and cupped his hands. Elders, you are still as elegant as ever. I wonder how the Emerald Cloud sect is doing now. Sect Master as well, thank you for your concern, Chief Steward Lin. After a few greetings, Qing Miao and the others from the Emerald Cloud sect sat in the corresponding seats. Golden Sun sect Grand Elder Yang Zhongning has arrived. A voice was heard. Whether it was the Emerald Cloud sect or the Chungyuan Trading Company, everyone's expression changed slightly, especially the 2 old Taoists. Qing Yu and Qing Shui. Their originally calm faces were now a little ugly. The Blue River True Domain was originally dominated by the Emerald Cloud sect. However, as the Emerald Cloud sect declined, the Golden Sun sect and the Watermoon sect took the opportunity to rise. It could be said that these two sects had dug out a piece of meat from the Emerald Cloud sect to support themselves. Although the Emerald Cloud sect did not fall out with these two sects on the surface, their relationship had always been bad. Now that they heard about the arrival of the Golden Sun sect, they naturally did not look good. Especially this time, the person who came was Yang Zhongning. Not long after, Fu Gang and an old man in a pale golden robe walked over. Although the old man was close to 70 years old, he still walked with a majestic gait. His back was straight and his eyes were bright. He had a majestic aura that could not be ignored. When they saw the arrival of the old man, a name appeared in the minds of Lin Wanyu and Qing Miao. Yang Zhongning. Lin Wanyu also got up at this time and saluted from afar. Elder Yang, how have you been? Thank you for your concern. Chief Steward Lin? I'm well. Yang Zhongning smiled slightly and spoke with a calm tone. After that, he looked at the Emerald Cloud sect and said with a little surprise, "It turns out that the Emerald Cloud sect is also here. I almost lost my manners." Greetings, Elder Yang. Hearing this, Qing Miao and the others had to get up and salute. In terms of status, Grand Elder Yang Zhongning's status was higher than the ordinary elders of the Emerald Cloud sect. In terms of strength, he was known as the strongest person in the Golden Sun sect and was an existence that even their own sect master was afraid of. Therefore, they had to give him face. Chapter 132. By Jiansheng, the Grand Elder of the Jianhua sect. Yu Qian, the Enforcing Elder of the Watermoon sect. Wan Miao sect. The experts of the sects who had been invited had arrived one after another in the spacious banquet hall. Now, there were quite a few people sitting there. After all, there were only a few who had come alone like Yang Zhongning. Most of the people were like the Blue Cloud sect, who had brought their younger generation disciples here to see the experts of various sects and broaden their horizons. It was also beneficial for their future cultivation. Yang Zhongning sat in the seat of the Gold Sun sect and sized up the sects who had arrived. Until now, almost all the sects in the Four True Dominion had a history. Many of them were experts that he was familiar with. However, the only one who could really attract his attention was by Jiansheng from the Jianhua sect. The two of them were old rivals. At this moment, the disciples of the Yuan sect weaved in and out, placing drinks and other things on the banquet table. There are 300 to 400 people above the 6th stage of the basic martial arts realm. There are even hundreds of people above the 10th stage of the basic martial arts realm. The Yuan sect's foundation is indeed extraordinary. Yang Zhongning thought to himself. Ever since he had entered, he had been sizing up the entire Yuan sect, the realm and strength of those disciples. There was no possibility of hiding in front of an expert of his level. Because of this, Yang Zhongning was shocked. If it was an old sect, it would be fine, but if it was a new sect, it would be too shocking. Even though the Gold Sun sect had been operating for so long. In terms of the overall strength of the disciples, this was probably the case. However, what Yang Zhongning really cared about was the Liang Mountain Protectorate Lord, the current sect master of the Yuan sect. No matter how strong a Yuan sect disciple's foundation was, without a true expert overseeing it, it was like the moon in the water. It was an existence that could be destroyed with a flip of the hand. Only the top experts could intimidate the people in their residence. However, until now, the sect master of the Yuan sect had not appeared. Only the great elder of technique imparting was handling matters on his behalf. As for the great elder of technique imparting, Yang Zhongning shook his head in his heart. Weak. Too weak. Only a newly established sect like the Sky Origin sect would have a grand elder of such a realm. A fake true martial realm? Or a fake true martial realm? Without a real fight, Yang Zhongning could only make a rough estimate. But even so, it was enough. Gue Haichuan, the sect leader of the Heaven Saber sect, has arrived. Boom. Immediately, the scene was silent for a moment. Then, a loud noise exploded. Heaven Saber sect. Gui Haichuan. The people from the various sects were all elders, and the strongest among them were grand elders like Yang Zhongning and Bai Jiansheng. Just like the Heaven Saber sect, the arrival of a sect master was something that had never happened before. Everyone, including Yang Zhongning, had an extremely solemn expression after recovering from their shock. The leader of a sect. He was definitely a top-notch expert. In the Gold Sun sect, there were only a few cases where the first elder was stronger than the sect master. The Heaven Saber sect, in particular, was one of the top sects in terms of strength. It was rumored that sect master Gui Haichuan had already reached the pinnacle of the true martial realm. He was only a step away from crossing the boundary and stepping into the next level. Such strength. In the true dominion, they were one of the top few. Everyone's gaze landed on the entrance. A tall, middle-aged man in luxurious clothes was walking over slowly. He carried a long saber with a black scabbard on his back. As he walked, a sharp intent seemed to be revealed. His eyes seemed to be filled with charm. Those whose cultivation levels were not high enough did not even dare look him in the eye. Even Xiao Ping, who was leading the way, could not help but lag behind him. Zheng Fong, who was shocked, immediately prepared to welcome him. Meanwhile, a person floated over and landed beside Zheng Fong. As this person arrived, the surrounding spirit chi of heaven and earth seemed to become restless. An indescribable aura was faintly discernible, causing the surrounding air to seem a little heavier. Zheng Fong cupped his fists and said, "Sect Master! Sect Master!" Everyone's gaze shifted from Gui Haichuan to the person who had suddenly appeared. An expert at the pinnacle of the true martial realm was terrifying. However, a living protectorate lord standing in front of them was even more eye-catching. Liang Mountain Protectorate Lord, Gui Haichuan's gaze landed on Qin Shujian, his eyes filled with a sharp intent. Qin Shujian did not back down. Instead, he met his gaze, cupped his fists, and smiled faintly. Origin Sect Qin Shujian greets Sect Master Gui Haichuan. The two of them stood rooted to the ground. A sharp aura surged from the two of them, as though it could tear the sky apart. At this moment, be it Gui Haichuan or Qin Shujian, they were like divine weapons that had been unsheathed. The sharpness of their auras was difficult to look at. However, this intent disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. Gui Haichuan restrained his sharpness and returned the greeting with cupped fists. Heaven Saber Sect Master Gui Haichuan greets Sect Master Qin. This time, he did not say Liang Mountain Protectorate Lord. Instead, he used Sect Master Qin. This was indirectly equivalent to the Heaven Saber Sect acknowledging the existence of the Origin Sect. This was an acknowledgement of one's strength. Qin Shujian said, "Please take a seat, Sect Master Gui Haichuan. Please." As he watched Gui Haichuan take a seat alone, Qin Shujian made a mental note of this name. Their previous exchange of gazes, the two of them had already exchanged blows invisibly. The patriarch of the Heaven Saber sect had also comprehended saber intent. Just now, the means by which the two of them had exchanged blows had been their intent. There had been no victory or defeat. After all, it had not been a battle of life and death. After a brief exchange of blows and a rough understanding of each other's strength, they had retreated. This exchange, others might not have been able to see anything. However, in the eyes of a true martial realm expert, they would be able to see how extraordinary it had been. Intent. Yang Zhongning's tiger-like eyes flashed. Anyone who had comprehended intent was a top-notch existence in the true martial realm. The reason Gui Haichuan was one of the few top-notch experts in the true dominion was because of his invincible saber intent. Or else, although the peak true martial realm was precious, it was not that rare in the true dominion. However, he was only slightly shocked for a moment before he felt at ease. A protectorate lord, it wasn't a strange thing to be able to comprehend willpower. How could he have become a protectorate lord if he had not been outstanding? At the moment, the atmosphere in the field also became heavy. First, Gui Haichuan. Then, Qin Shujian. The appearance of the two of them gave the others immense pressure. On the main seat, Qin Shujian surveyed the crowd. raised the wine cup in his hand and said loudly, "Today is the founding ceremony of the Origin sect. I am deeply gratified that all of you are able to come forward. This toast is to all of you." Upon hearing this, immediately everyone stood up from their seats and raised their cups to welcome him. "Sect Master Qin, please. Sect Master Qin, you are too polite. Please." Then, Qin Shujian finished his cup in one gulp and sat down on the main seat. The others did the same. Only then did they take their seats again. At the same time, the Origin sect disciples served the dishes one by one. Gue Haichuan said, "The ordinary realm has been constantly evolving over the years. However, a protectorate lord has not been born for many years." Sect Master Qin broke the limit in one go and led the entire ordinary realm to the true dominion. This is indeed a shocking and admirable feat. Then, he raised his wine cup and said, "I also propose a toast to Sect Master Qin. Please." Qin Shujian raised his cup as well. Subsequently, everyone at the banquet kept talking. After all, they were here. Besides the Origin sect, there were many other sects and forces present. These forces, some of them were not on good terms with each other, while others were on good terms with each other. Now that they were gathered together, they could not help but communicate. "I have heard that Sect Master Qin has subdued many forces from a small village and developed it into a top force in the domain. I am very impressed." Yu Qian's voice was soft and gentle. Her blue dress accentuated her curvaceous figure, making her look very attractive. The gazes of many young disciples from the various sects faintly fell on her body. However, only those who knew Yu Qian well, when they looked at her, there was a tinge of fear in their eyes. Hearing this, Qin Shujian looked at Yu Qian. Her charming appearance caused him to reveal a smile. "I only managed to get to where I am today because I wanted to protect myself. Now that I have established the Origin sect, I only hope that it can be passed down steadily. I am already satisfied. I am not worthy of Elder Yu's praise. Sect Master Qin is too humble. The Origin sect will definitely prosper under the leadership of someone like you. I propose a toast to Sect Master Qin." The smile on Yu Qian's pretty face widened as she drank the wine in her cup first. Qin Shujian also raised his cup to return the gesture. This conversation, the speaker and the listener both had their own intentions. Yu Qian's question was actually what most people present were thinking. After all, the birth of a new sect, especially one with a protectorate lord, would not be a good thing for the people of the other true dominion if they were too ambitious. Nobody wanted to be covetously eyed by others beside them. Let's not talk about whether Qin Shujian's answer was true or false. However, at least he had expressed his attitude. This way, the sects would also feel more at ease. Subsequently, another person asked tentatively. Qin Shujian also gave a flawless answer, not revealing the slightest hint of a strange expression. More than half a day passed. The banquet was also nearing its end. In the end, this was just a simple celebration. Qin Shujian wanted to announce to the other sects that the Liang Mountain True Dominion already had an owner and that they should not try to interfere. The other sects had also come because they wanted to know whether this sect with a protectorate lord had the ambition to conquer the mountains and rivers. After a simple understanding of each other, both parties were quite satisfied with this banquet. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, people gradually stood up and bid farewell. If you have time in the future, Sect Master Qin can come to the Mystic Void True Dominion's Heaven Saber sect. I will definitely welcome you. Gue Haichuan stood up and said with a smile. "Definitely. I will take my leave first. Please." Gue Haichuan floated down the mountain and left. Very soon, apart from the people of the Carrier Trading Company, the rest of the sects had already left the banquet. The internal and external deacons of the Origin sect were currently instructing people to tidy up the venue. Lin Wanyu stood up and said, "Sect Master Qin, the Carrier Trading Company wishes to discuss something with you. I wonder if it is convenient now." Chapter 133. Inside the Legacy Hall, the three of them sat down. Other than Gu Feng, no one else from the Legacy Trading Company was qualified to enter. Or rather, If Gu Feng had not been from the Origin sect, he would not have been qualified to listen in on the conversation between the True Dominion General Manager and the Protectorate Lord. After Lin Wanyu sat down, he went straight to the point. The Origin sect is now the #1 sect in the True Dominion of the Liang Mountain. I hope that the Legacy Trading Company can provide some support in the future. Correspondingly, 5% of the net profit of each shipment will be given to the Origin sect as a reward. What do you think, Sect Master Qin? After he finished speaking, he looked at Qin Shujian and waited for his reply. 5% of the net profit of each shipment. This reward was actually not low at all. Given the Legacy Trading Company's structure, each shipment, excluding labor costs, would be worth at least 1,000 taels of silver or even 10,000 taels of silver. In the long run, this would be a sizable sum of silver. If Qin Shujian had not been the Protectorate Lord and the Origin sect was the only big sect in the True Dominion of the Liang Mountain, Lin Wanyu might not have offered such a price. Qin Shujian pondered for a moment before saying, "The Legacy Trading Company will be safe within the True Dominion of the Liang Mountain." What he meant was, if anything happened outside of the True Dominion of the Liang Mountain, it would not be the Origin sect's fault. No problem. Lin Wanyu nodded. This was common sense. After pausing for a moment, he said, "The second thing is that I hope that the Origin sect can send experts to help us exterminate the Shining rebel army. The Legacy Trading Company will give a reasonable reward." Haven't the Shining rebel army retreated? Qin Shujian asked in confusion. When the True Dominion of the Liang Mountain had been upgraded, the Shining rebel army had retreated from the Shining Plains. What they left behind? There was only the ravaged Shining Plains left behind. Coincidentally, the Origin sect had just been established and could not be free for the time being. Otherwise, the Shining Plains would have been included in the Origin sect's sphere of influence. The rebel army has indeed retreated from the Shining Plains. However, they are now wreaking havoc in the Divine Flower Ordinary Dominion and have destroyed the peace. As Lin Wanyu spoke, he cupped his hands and continued, "However, the rebel army is too powerful and it won't be easy to exterminate them. Therefore, I hope that Sky Origin sect can also lend a helping hand." I want to know the background of the Shining rebel army. Of course. As Lin Wanyu spoke, his gaze landed on Gu Feng. Gu Feng immediately understood. After contemplating for a while, he said, "Right now, the flames of war are everywhere in the Great Zhao Kingdom. There are always bandits who want to rise up and overthrow the orthodoxy. There are also people who want to establish a kingdom on the land of the Great Zhao in order to divide up the fortune. The Shining rebel army was one of the failed forces. Now that they had entered the territory of Baiyun Manor, they were trying to destroy the foundation of the Great Zhao. As a power within the Great Zhao country, the Chung Yuan Trading Company naturally cannot bear to see the people die. How strong are the rebels? The rebel army has around 5,000 people. Because in the ordinary realm, anyone above the basic realm is suppressed to the 10th stage of the basic realm. Gu Feng paused for a moment before continuing. According to our information, there are 3,000 people in the 6th stage of the basic martial realm and above, 100 in the 10th stage of the basic martial realm. Among them, there are 13 people at the peak of the basic martial realm, and the rest are at the 5th stage of the basic martial realm. Hearing this, Qin Shujian was also shocked. To tell the truth, he really did not know how strong the Shining rebel army was. When he thought about how Zhang Tiniu had told him that the Shining rebel army might have experts above the 5th stage of the basic martial realm, Qin Shujian had the urge to drag him over. Could this be the strength of someone above the 6th stage of the basic martial realm? This was clearly a giant. If at that time, he had chosen to attack the Shining Plains on a whim, Qin Shujian made a rough estimation. The grass on his grave would have probably grown. In the ordinary realm, there are no experts above the true martial realm. The two of you don't think that our Yuan sect can deal with such a large number of Shining rebels, do you? Yuan sect was now at the 10th stage of the basic martial realm. They were about the same as the Shining rebel army. In terms of overall strength, they were not as strong as the Shining rebel army. After all, out of the 1,000 people, 70% of them were just bystanders. If Yuan sect were to go against the Shining rebel army, unless Qin Shujian thought that he was an idiot, he would not agree no matter how high the reward was. After a battle, not to mention victory or defeat. Their foundation was about to be emptied. This time, it was Lin Wanyo's turn to speak. Don't worry, Sect Master Qin. This time, the Imperial Army will be the main force. Yuan Sect only needs to send experts to assist. He did not say one more thing. If Qin Shujian, the Domain Lord, could help, then it would be even more reliable. Domain Lord. Even if he was shackled by the ordinary realm, he was still not someone the 10th stage of the basic martial realm could compare with. But Lin Wanyu did not say this. What kind of reward is the carrier trading company willing to pay? 3,000 taels for a chance to fight for a true martial realm expert. 1,000 taels for a person of the 10th stage of the basic martial realm. If there is an unfortunate death, the true martial realm expert will pay 100,000 taels, the 10th stage 10,000 taels, and the 6th stage 100 taels. No compensation for death. Good. Qin Shujian nodded. This price. He could accept it. To put it bluntly, even those below the 10th stage of the basic martial realm would not be of much use to Lin Wanyu and the others. What the other party lacked was these top fighting forces. But before Lin Wanyu could say anything, he changed the topic. This time, Yuan Sect can send 5 true martial realm experts and 30 of the 10th stage of the basic martial realm. As for those from the 9th to the 6th stage of the basic martial realm, Yuan Sect will send at least 100 of them. You only need to pay 10,000 taels, not 100 taels per person. This is Yuan Sect's thanks for Brother Gu's help in rebuilding. And I hope to exchange all these taels for martial arts of the mortal level. It would be best if they are above the middle level. Hearing this, Lin Wanyu was slightly startled, but quickly understood. He smiled and said, Don't worry, Sect Master Qin. Since you have asked, the carrier trading company will definitely fulfill your request. When do you need them? 3 days at the earliest, 7 days at the latest. I will send someone to inform Sect Master Qin at that time. No problem. In a few words. Thus, the two of them decided on this matter. At last, after exchanging a few more words, Lin Wanyu stood up and said goodbye. Qin Shujian also sent people to escort them down the mountain after sending them out of Chengwu Hall. When they left, Lin Wanyu's face was full of smiles. He was very satisfied with the result of this negotiation. On the other side, Qin Shujian's face was also full of smiles. After this time, he believed that Yuan Sect's library would be filled up and wouldn't be as empty as it was now. Subsequently, Qin Shujian gathered all the elders. In Chengwu Hall, he only gave one order. From tomorrow onwards, Yuan Sect will open its gates and recruit disciples. Anyone who wants to join the sect can come here. Hearing this, everyone's body shook. Open the gates. Recruit disciples. This meant that Yuan Sect was officially on the right track. The next day, many of the players who had gathered at the foot of Liang Mountain had already given up. But compared to the huge number of people, there were still many people who stayed. These people, rather than saying that they were waiting, it was better to say that they were unwilling to accept the fact that they had wasted so much time. Just as all the players were waiting, a loud voice spread in all directions. Today, Yuan Sect will open its gates. Anyone who wants to join the sect can come. Buzz. All the players who had waited bitterly at the foot of Liang Mountain instantly became excited. The gates were open. Recruit disciples. Why had they waited for so long? Naturally, it was for this moment. I want to join Yuan Sect. I want to join the sect. The players flocked over. Silence. Niu Feng's body exploded with the aura of a true martial realm expert, instantly intimidating the players in front of him. A true martial realm expert. Just his aura alone was enough to make a basic martial realm expert tremble. Niu Feng looked at the players who had already quieted down and shouted, If you want to join the sect, follow the rules. Everyone go up the mountain in an orderly manner to meet the sect master. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand. 2 of Yuan Sect's internal and external deacons came out and led these people up the mountain. There was a level 10 basic martial realm boss in front of them and a true martial realm boss on the side. No one dared to be presumptuous and went up the mountain in an orderly manner. Walking up the limestone stairs, Lu Dazhong breathed in the rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth. He immediately felt comfortable. This is the sect. Even if I can't learn anything, living here is still a good thing. Of course. He was just thinking about it. He didn't dare to say it out loud. Miao Yuqing pulled Lu Dazhong's sleeve and whispered, "What do you think will be the test to join the sect?" It's hard to say, but it definitely won't be easy. With so many players, I don't know how many can join the sect. Lu Dazhong looked at the hundreds of players around him and shook his head. Silence. Lu Er turned around and coldly shouted. Instantly, the players who were still whispering all shut their mouths. You're strong, you're right. In Yuan Sect Square, many players stood there. Around them were several true martial realm elders. Just their aura alone was enough to intimidate these people and make them not dare to act rashly. The sect master has arrived. A voice came out of nowhere. Immediately, a person floated in and landed in front of the players. The true martial realm elders all cupped their hands and greeted. Greetings, sect master. Rise. Qin Shu Jian waved his hand, but his gaze fell on the players in front of him. For so long, many players had died in his hands. But now, both sides were standing together peacefully on the surface. This was something that had never happened before. Qin Shujian was sizing up the players. The players were also sizing him up in the dark. There weren't many people in the game who didn't know the name of the Langshan Campmaster. The video of the Langshan Campmaster attacking the village was posted on the forum. The players were already familiar with the appearance of the Langshan Campmaster. Even if the other party had changed from the Langshan Campmaster to the Sect Master of Yuan Sect. But his appearance, in the end, it wouldn't change. A big boss that had slaughtered several novice villages and killed so many players that they were scared out of their wits was now directly in front of them. This made many people feel an invisible pressure in their hearts. If it was in the past, when a boss stood in front of them, the players' first thought would be to kill it. But this game had taught them a deep lesson. Not all bosses. They could all be killed. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.